All right, there we are. We should now be live on YouTube. So sorry for the slight delay there. We had a little technical glitch, but now we've got it all going. So if you're over on YouTube, first thing I want you to do is let me know how is the audio video. We've got a new microphone set up here today. It's a little further away from me than I would like just because there's a light in the way, but I didn't want the microphone on the desk that we've been having because that kind of just takes up a lot of freaking space. So let me know. Audio sounds great. Good to go. Awesome. TikTok, I assume we're all right over there as well. Just tried Howlerhead Kentucky Bourbon. I have not tried Writing Tears. No. Old Forester 100 is a good one. What's going on, Tommy? Jefferson Associates Voyage 24. I really like 22. I don't think I've tried 24 yet. E.H. Taylor. Willet 8-year. I'm assuming you're talking about the new Willet 8-year black bottle, purple top, wheated whiskey. I mean, I think they're going for $250 plus, even if you find them around MSRP, which is probably a little too much from that bottle based on what I've been hearing from other folks who have tried it, but I have not tried it. Big Daddy. So what are we doing here? This is Brewzle. I am the world's least helpful whiskey taster and world's worst bartender. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask y'all a question. First of all, we've got 3 new bottles of whiskey here, and I'm going to pop these open and I'm going to try them. And we can do it one of 2 ways. So YouTube, TikTok, y'all let me know. Now this right here is hands down the favorite in this bunch. This is Michter's Sour Mash Toasted Barrel Finish Kentucky whiskey. So Kentucky Sour Mash Whiskey Toasted Barrel Finish. Now this comes in at a kind of a low proof. I think this guy's what, 86 proof, which is kind of a low proof. And then we've got Elijah Craig Rye, straight rye whiskey, which I think is a really good rye, but I've never tried it. And then we've got Wolf Moon Straight Bourbon Whiskey, which is a celebrity whiskey by Jason Aldean. So if I were to try these, I would think that I could pick each of these out pretty easily in a blind. And so that might not be fair. And that this one would hands down be the favorite to win a blind with these 3 whiskeys. So what I'm going to ask y'all in the chat is to let me know, do you think we should blind them, put them, and me not know which one's which, mix them up, and then rank them? Or would you rather just see me pop these open, pour them in a glass, and give you my thoughts on them, knowing good and well what they are? So let me know right now, and then I'll let y'all decide. Whichever one seems to have the most votes, that's what we'll pick. Blind or just tasting notes. Cheats in the chat. What's going on? DKG, Rusty's Glock. Man, everybody's here. Country Boy, Scott, Lance, Motor City Beatdown. Blind. Everybody wants a blind. Just pour them, drink it, open, no blind. A lot of blinds. Ooh. Pop them open, just pop them. What's going on? Salty. Knowing. Damn, this is much, much closer than I anticipated it being. I really thought y'all would just pick me tasting them without the blind, I'll be honest. Understand, DKG, no problem. Notes, just drink it. Okay, so it looks like it's 50-50, so I'm just going to go knowing what they are, unfortunately. Looks like there wasn't a clear winner, but I really want to give my thoughts, and honestly, I would pick these out anyway. There might be a surprise winner, but I would think I would be able. I don't have high hopes for this guy. I don't have high hopes for this guy, and this one being a rye, I'm pretty sure I could pick out the rye. So we're going to start with Wolf Moon. Now, I bought this bottle to do a video, so we're going to do a video on this one, Jason Aldean's whiskey. I think Jason Aldean, in conjunction with Florida Georgia Line, produced this particular whiskey. And I've never tried it. We bought it for a video, and we'll still do the video. We're going to do the video, and I'm terrible at opening things. So if y'all are new around here, I suck at opening things. Blind was clear that, well, we've got 2 chats now. We got 2 chats. So there's YouTube clearly wanted one. The other one, it was kind of closer than it, I mean, what I saw anyway. I think I have a knife over here. What's going on, Bourbon Lover? How you doing, Jason? Having a good day? Hopefully not having to work too hard. Hopefully not getting called in tonight. I don't usually drink my whiskey over ice, no. Occasionally, but I don't usually like the flavors you get from whiskey over ice. It just makes it harsher and it kind of dumbs down or numbs down a lot of the flavors that I like out of it. Lord have mercy, that is some thick freaking plastic, and there didn't seem to be, oh, it's 2 pieces of plastic. It's like doubled up on this thing. I'm normally bad at opening things. This just makes me look even worse. Lord have mercy. When they double up on the plastic. Hear that cork pop? Ah, little wet cork pop. Now again, I don't know the MSRP. Somebody look up the MSRP on this guy right here. Someone picked this up for me. So 80 proof, distilled from Midwestern grains, straight bourbon whiskey. I don't know if they tell us where it's distilled. I don't see anything. Proudly distilled and bottled by Old Camp Whiskey, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Well, there you go. So we tried the Old Camp Peach Pecan. $11.99, $40? Okay. That's all over the place. A lot of folks just guessing. That's fine. Just guess. It's okay. If I don't know, why should y'all? Don't look it up. 25 to 30 bucks. I feel like that's probably about right. All right. You know, that's not terrible. For 25, 30 bucks, that you expect, you get a celebrity whiskey, you expect to just hate on it. Now, there's nothing just fantastic about this, but it's got an interesting sweetness to it. You know, it's definitely a fruity aroma to it. It's low proof, so you don't get much burn. There's not a whole lot of ethanol there. And then it delivers on kind of that sweetness with just a little bit of oak on the finish. And so it's a pretty good whiskey. Much better than I anticipated it being. So I'm not hating on that. Like, that's easy. It's an easy sipper. Goes down pretty smooth. Now, if you're a real bourbon aficionado, there's no complexity, right? Like, it is just all kind of one note pretty much. Kind of a simple sweetness, but it's not an unpleasant whiskey at all. Not unpleasant at all. I'm definitely not, you know, it would be a great mixer. So if you're pouring this in Coke or something like that, absolutely great. If you're using it in an old fashioned, it would probably be fine for that. Sipping it neat in a Glencairn, there's some bottles in that price range that are going to be a little better quality than this, or at least a little more complex, but there's not much to hate on that whiskey. Has anybody in the chat tried this one? Let me know your thoughts on it. Did you think about the same? Like, it's just fine. Like, it's not bad, not off-putting at all. Where's the Jack at? We got some over here on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, so if we're ranking this 1 to 10, so 5 for me is just like not good at all. Typically, how we rank them is, you know, on a scale of 1 to 100. If it's an A, that's like I buy every bottle I possibly can. And B, so 80 to 90, it's pretty good. I'll keep it around. I may buy another one. I may not, but you know, it's nice and neat in a Glencairn. 70s are, you know, C plus are mixers here at the bar. So I really wouldn't drink it neat in a Glencairn outside of mixing it with something. And then 60 and below is just, we'll use it for a bourbon glaze. Like, we'll never really drink it here. Because if it's too bad to mix, it's not good. I would say this is well into that C range. Like, this is a pretty good mixer. It's not off-putting, so you probably could put it in a Glencairn, but it's not like good enough for me to say I would rather drink it in a Glencairn neat. So I would probably put this in like a C plus range for an 80 proof, moderately affordable bourbon that's attached to some celebrity that you might have some particular affinity for. I need complexity. I mean, I'm looking for complexity there too. I'm looking for some evolution of flavors, a little more going on. And this is very one note. This is very simple. This is probably going to compare, you know, to your normal Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, you know, as far as the level of sophistication. This has a nice sweetness to it. So like Jim Beam is going to be a little nutty flavored. Jack Daniels is going to be a little like charcoaly, oaky. This is more sweet. So it really reminds me of a little bit simpler ancient age. So it has like some of that sweetness that you would expect from like a Buffalo Trace product, but no complexity whatsoever. So I would say even ancient age is better than this bottle. So if you've had ancient age, I would say I get some similar flavors, but ancient age is better than this. But I would say this is better than ancient age with one ancient. Old Elk, I really like Old Elk. The ones I've had have been really, really good. I've had the wheated and a wheated store pick, both great. What constitutes complexity in a good bourbon? That's a good question. So this one I'm expecting to have a lot of complexity. So what I'm looking for in complexity when I go to taste it is I want to be able to pick up several different flavors. And I'm looking for the bourbon to have a little thickness to it, right? So it kind of coats the mouth. It's not super thin, which low proof whiskeys usually are fairly thin. So like none of these really stand much of a chance for, having a good mouthfeel. That's what they call mouthfeel, where it's just kind of thick, right? Has a little viscosity to it. They can, but it's just unusual in a low proof whiskey. And then I'm looking for, as it coats the mouth, for the flavors to evolve. And so it's like it's like biting into a really good piece of sushi. I don't know how many of you eat sushi, but a really good piece of sushi is going to have some flavors that you can kind of distinguish, right? It might have a little cream cheese and a little cucumber and the fish and different things, and then you get maybe the sweetness of the sauce that's on it. Bourbon can do the same. It hits you with a flavor up front, and then, kind of as it's going through your mouth, it gives you a little different flavor, and then as you swallow it, you get what's called the finish, which is, the flavor that it leaves you with and lingers after you've tried it. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an evolution, not just kind of one note, right? It can be good. Like if you're just getting started in whiskey, you might want the one note. It's just simple. Like doesn't make it a bad whiskey. It's just once you start, and if you're mixing it, you may prefer the one note, because that one note may be what you're looking for it to impart on whatever mixed drink you're putting it into. But when you're really trying to just sip them neat in a Glencairn, a little complexity goes a long way. My dad's birthday is coming soon. He loves Old Charter. I don't know. I don't have any Old Charter, so that's probably not it's hard for me to recommend based on that. Does he love anything else? Favorite rye is Michter's Toasted Barrel Rye. I just recently started and was Old Forester 1920 is great. Can you taste bacon? I cannot taste any bacon in this. No. Rusty Glock said C+. Yeah. My school grades like you be failing. Well, we're not sending you. You don't. There's no extra credit. I guess maybe I should give them extra credit if they sent me the bottle for free. They did not in this case, so no extra credit. Jameson Black Barrel, all right. Tried a bottle of the Russell's 10-year last week and kind of liked it, but my wife hated it. Well, Russell's tends to have a lot of bitter oak on it, and so if your palate's sensitive to bitter oak, it can be a little overwhelming. And I get a lot of the bitter oak, and I am sensitive to it. I do like it, but that's what keeps me from just absolutely loving it. A good beginner bourbon to start exploring my palate, you want to try a bunch of different kinds. So 80 proofers, get Buffalo Trace, get an Eagle Rare, get an Elijah Craig small batch. This is the rye, but get a small batch. Get a Four Roses single barrel, something like that, right? Try a bunch of those. What's going on, Ricky? Equine, no, Country Boy's in here, so he's got you beat. All right, so the difference between this one and the one behind me. So this is a rye. This is their rye whiskey. I've got their toasted barrel on top. I've got a store pick of their bourbon, and then I've got a bunch of barrel strength bourbon. So this one's lower proof, and it's the rye. And I haven't tried the rye. TX bourbon for the first pour. Nice. Woodford and Coke. Interesting. The best bourbon I've had is William LaRue Weller. I have tried Blade & Bow. Blade & Bow's good. It's not super complex to me, but it's really good. Kenny loved the Lincoln video. Well, the TikTok hasn't seen the Lincoln video. The short for the Lincoln video should drop tomorrow on TikTok. But we did the longer version. I appreciate it, Kenny. We're trying to push long form videos. Like we've obviously got shorts moderately figured out. We're at least having some success there. But our goal is to try to do bigger, more epic long form videos as well. And that was just kind of a start at putting more effort into them. Weller's is fantastic. Yes, all the Wellers are really good. Is Maker's Mark the best bourbon? No, but it's good. Nothing wrong with Maker's. Normal Maker's, I'm not a huge fan of. But like all of their limited stuff is great. Heaven Hill, recommended or not? Yeah, it depends on which Heaven Hill. But if it's like the Bottle and Bond, that's a really good one. And the chat over on TikTok, again, it's moving pretty fast. But OFC vintages. I have not been lucky enough to try OFC. I would love to, but those are like $2,000 bottles MSRP. Okay. Thank you, Marsh. I appreciate it. Scored a couple of Wellers, sipping on some OWA. OWA is fantastic, Kyle. You know I love some OWA. Let's try this second bottle here. Let me crack this Elijah Craig Rye open here. See if I can open this one any better. Green River is really good. Haven't tried that. Boss Hog and Weller. All right. Crown Royal a better whiskey? Is Crown Royal a better whiskey than what? Crown Royal's not an exceptional just like whiskey unless you're mixing it. If you like that flavor profile, it's fine for mixing. The flavored Crowns are really interesting for mixing. So Buffalo Trace is good stuff. Like this reminds me of a much simpler Buffalo Trace. So Buffalo Trace would be a much more exceptional whiskey. Like Buffalo Trace, this one I gave a C+, so a 70, maybe 78, 79. Buffalo Trace is going to be a B-level whiskey, so that's one that's really good in a Glencairn, and I try to keep one on the bar all the time. I don't buy every one I come across, but I try to keep them in on the bar. This is way better than TikTok, Cody. It's definitely better quality. YouTube.com/Brewzle. It's definitely a lot better quality, and I see the comments a lot easier over there. My most fancy bottle, if you're just talking about decoration style, I really like these bottles here, which are the Old Fitz decanter bottles, right? I really like these. These are probably my favorite in design. All right, let's try a little of this Elijah Craig Rye. I'll try to put it in the wrong bottle. I'm trying to read the chat and do this at the same time. What's a step up from Crown Royal? I'm not a huge Canadian whiskey fan, so I couldn't tell you. Bullet Rye. I haven't had Bullet Rye. It's on my list, though. I'm going to look for one. I've been going out and trying to purposefully, every time I go bourbon hunting, just if I'm going to buy a couple of bottles of bourbon, try to buy a rye as well, and at least just expand my horizons when it comes to ryes, because I've found quite a few that I like, and I'm hoping this is one that I like. This one was hard to get because they don't seem to distribute this in the state of Alabama. At least I can never find it in the state of Alabama, so I had to pick this one up when I was in Florida. Haven't had Virgil Cane. Wild Turkey Rare Breed is probably the best bottle of whiskey you can regularly get for under 50 bucks, in my opinion. Michter's American's really good. I love everything by Michter's, but the American's really good. It's a little lighter than their bourbon to me in flavor, but that's actually good. I can pick up a few more notes on it. Gentleman Jack's pretty good. It's been a while since I've had it, but it's pretty good. But like the Bonded Jack, that's the triple mash, like a lot of Jack stuff out there right now is really good. The flavor it can change depending on how much is in the bottle. Oxygen will kind of change the flavors. And if it gets super low and it's had a bunch of oxygen in it, then yeah, it can oxidize, but it takes a while. A+ level bourbon, William LaRue Weller, Pappy 15. Those are probably the only two I have right now that are like A+. There's a lot of like A- though. Dickel Bottle and Bond, Ace, I can't go with you there, man. I just don't like anything by George Dickel. Like, it's got that minerally flavor that may not be off-putting to you, but it's extremely off-putting to me. And so I can't take it. I hear Still Austin is great. The Uncle Nearest I've had is pretty good, but it's not like, I like Uncle Nearest. I like the story. They're going to be great. So Bottle and Bond. Bottle and Bond basically is kind of a government guarantee of whiskey quality. And so really, I'm not going to go through the whole story. I get this question on just about every stream, and it is a good question. I don't mind answering. But realistically, bottle and bond, and I probably should do a video because we get this so many times, but bottle and bond basically means, realistically for you, the important thing is the whiskey's going to be at least 4 years old, whereas like this is probably 2 years old. Actually, this is straight bourbon, so this is 3 years old. It's going to be 4 years old, and it's going to be bottled at 100 proof. Those are the important things that you need to know about. There's a few other things if you want to Google it, if you really want to go deep. E.H. Taylor. What's wrong? Copper Fox. I haven't had Copper Fox. Well, I mean, when you say I'm wrong because I said it's a guarantee, government guarantee of quality, so I guess I'll have to tell the whole story then. All right, so back in the day, people used to be able to take a bottle of whiskey and put anything they wanted in it, right? They would water it down. They would throw tobacco juice and flavorings and all sorts of things in it. And so that was kind of a problem for the bourbon industry. And so what they did was they came out with the Bottle and Bond Act, where the government would kind of oversee it a little bit. And so all of the grains are grown in one growing season, and then it is distilled and it is warehoused in a federally bonded warehouse, and then it is bottled at 100 proof and delivered for, consumption. So they're not going to guarantee that it's good whiskey, but they are saying that it wasn't monkeyed with during the aging process, right? Nothing really happened to it. So they're basically trying to do what they can to ensure that it is just a true, authentic 4-year-old 100 proof whiskey. Neat is pretty good. If you haven't watched the show Neat, it's pretty good. So many trolls on TikTok. Smoky sometimes. But, also there's 565 folks watching over there, so that's a lot of fun. Haven't had Walking Stick. Jefferson's Ocean. So Jefferson's Ocean is a fun one. I have quite a few bottles. Some of them are great. Some of them are no good at all. Jacob, it depends on the voyage, and I haven't had them all to tell you. I like the wheated ones typically. They come with a lot of caramel flavors. Some of the older voyages I had were really, really salty, so it just depends on which one. $42,000 double wide. Can you use food stamps on whiskey? I could not tell you, but if you're on food stamps, you probably should be buying less whiskey. So, Smokey, as soon as you say that, we start getting them on YouTube. I've not had Rocky Top, no. Wilderness Trail bonded. Most bondeds I've had are pretty good, except for the George Dickel. Where are all the likes? I don't know. Have you tried Widow Jane 10-year? Yes, Widow Jane 10-year is really good. That's my second bottle I've owned, and I've tried at least one other one. They use some George Dickel in their blend, but they've done it in a way to where in some of the batches, I could taste it a little bit. Some I can't really tell it's there. So, but a good bottle. I like the 13 even better, though. Have I had Michter's Toasted Barrel? Well, this is going to be a Michter's Toasted barrel finish sour mash that we are about to pour as soon as I finish this Elijah Craig Rye that I was just drinking and not giving y'all a review of. I have not tried the 82nd Airborne, but I want to. My dad was in 82nd Airborne out of Fort Bragg. Dimple Pinch, I have not. All right, so this just smells like a classic rye. But the rye notes are really light on it, so it's not, like some of these, the rye is just super overwhelming. And it follows through. That's just a nice, light rye whiskey right there. 94 proof, like that's a good, easy sipper. My scale is kind of off on ryes because I really only have one rye that's an A. I have quite a few Bs. And this one probably would be on the lower end of a B, right? It's nice. It's good to sip in a Glencairn. It has some rye. I get a little nuttiness, a little honey. It's a good bourbon. So this is probably going to be like an 80, 81. So good to have. Would drink it neat in a Glencairn, but it's on the low end of that scale, so it'll probably end up getting mixed into something. How do I get my hard-to-find allocated stuff? So there are only a few ways to get allocated stuff. For me, in Alabama, I have to wait in lines. I have to go over into Georgia and build relationships. and I have to get lucky when it comes to lotteries. So Alabama does drops every month. I can get some bottles there. They do a lottery at the end of the year. I can usually get some good bottles there. And then just making really good bourbon friends. So if you're over on YouTube, we've been posting the link to the Discord over there. So we've got a Discord. So maybe you could make some bourbon friends over there. Although don't be buying and selling bottles over there. That'll be a good way to get banned. But make some bourbon friends. That helps. Creating content really does help. It helps to make friends for sure. I appreciate it there, Richie. Thanks for the kind words. What's going on, Eric Waters? Bacon fat washed bourbon? What is this? I have not heard of this. Devil's Cut's on the list. Haven't had it. Baker 7 is probably one of my favorite Jim Beam products. Love it. 107 proof Jim Beam. Really, really good. Elijah Craig Rye, real nice. Almost confused it with bourbon. Yeah, Elijah, it is very kind of Burr Rye-esque, right? It's not super rye forward, which is probably why I like it. Love some Booker's. Booker's is very intense. So Booker's is a Jim Beam product. Super intense flavors, not for everybody. Like you got to really be into bourbon to like a Booker's. MGM bourbon? You mean MGP? That was a squeaky one. Squeaky cork pop. We might just, this is Michter's Toasted Barrel. We just gonna go ahead and make a little heavier pour of that one, right? Crown Royal is the best rye. Crown Royal's Canadian whiskey. No knock on Canadian whiskey, but it's not really, I don't know. It's Canadian. Is Crown Royal even a rye? Pinhook. The one I have is not particularly special. Now, I hear some other ones are really, really good. So, just depends on the bottle. Favorite specific flavor. So, the flavors I typically like the most are going to be what you would describe as red fruit, right? So, like a cherry sweetness and then kind of a caramel sweetness. And obviously a little oak, but not bitter oak. So, like a sweet oak. What's my A rye? Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. That is the only A rye I have, is the Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. Now I have some high B's. I don't know where they're at right now, but like the Willet Green Top. It's been a while, but I would probably, from what I remember, put the Willet 4-year Family Estate Rye at least a mid B. Midwinter Nights Dram I struggle with because the one I have is finished and I just don't love the finish on it. Michter's, like normal Michter's rye, is probably going to be a solid B as well, but that's barely a rye, man. If you handed that to somebody and told them it was a bourbon, they'd believe you. Oh my goodness. I have not tried Weldon Mill Soldier's Cut. Lord, that is... I need to process that. That has got so much going on the nose. So much going on. So it almost has like a red fruit sweetness to it, but then it's got that kind of toastiness that almost makes it come across like a cinnamon. Like a lot of cinnamon. So it's almost like a banana bread kind of cinnamon, a little, like it's sweet, been baked into something, little nuttiness to it. Like there's a lot going on that nose, and I don't think I'm doing a great job of describing it. Although nutty banana bread, probably not bad. Yeah, I'm not a huge rye fan either. They're Smoky Cannon, but that's why I'm trying to buy more of them, because it's kind of like finished whiskeys. We tasted 10 finished whiskeys on the live last week. I think it was last week, week before last, and it's just, maybe I just started with bad ones. Like, maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe I just started with bad finished whiskeys. Maybe I just started with bad ryes. And so got lucky with bourbon and found some good ones fairly early on. So I'm going to try to open it up, because that's not bad at all. A Bombergs and a Shanks. I need those. I need a Bombergs and a Shanks. I'm going to go looking for those. Why do you tend to not like the finishes? The finishes come across kind of bitter and artificial to me. Most of them. So like this, I expect this to be really good. Like a wood finish, probably pretty good. But when it's in a sherry cask or something like that, or Cabernet, not good. Port wine I can take. But I just don't get like just cherry flavors. I get like an artificial weird sweetness off of those. Penelope Toasted. I haven't had the Penelope Toasted, but the Penelopes I've had are great. My go-to is Weller Antique 107. GMP. Again, I'm assuming you're saying MGP. I don't know what GMP is. But MGP, Midwest Grain Products. Probably right now, my favorite. We tasted a couple of weeks ago, we tasted some, and there was an Old Scout. I've got an Old Scout store pick that's sourced from MGP that I absolutely love. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else that's MGP, but that one was fantastic. Where's Nate? Nate had to work tonight, so he said he was listening, but he wasn't going to be able to participate in the chat. Wild Turkey 101 Rye, I have had that, and that's going to be a high B for sure. I haven't had a bottle, though, Richie. Belle Meade Reserve, it is delicious. Also, if y'all haven't had Belle Meade Reserve has been discontinued. It's 108 proof. They were about $50 when I bought the ones I bought. And I think that was a slight markup from MSRP. Now they're going for $60 to $100 just because they're done. Once the allocation that's out there now is gone, they're gone. And they're fantastic. I do not drink cognac. I've had Coy Hill. It's delicious, but I don't have any. So you were asking about the Glencairn. So the Glencairn is really to kind of concentrate the aromas and the flavor. And it's just a pleasant drinking experience, right? You can get the little knob. You can twirl it. You can feel fancy and hold your pinky out if you want to. But it's just, just kind of concentrates. If you're drinking in like a rocks glass, it's going to be harder to pick up all the notes. So a lot of folks that are like, oh, I don't see how you get all of those notes. Well, you either haven't drank a lot of whiskey or you're drinking it out of the wrong type of glass, right? And you're putting ice on it or you're mixing it or something like that. And no hate, nothing wrong with doing that. But, something like this is going to help. How did you get the William LaRue? Won it in the lottery. Won it in the Alabama State Lottery. Angel's Envy Rye, 10 out of 10. I'm going to look for that. I haven't seen it yet, Joe. I've got it recommended several times. I have not bought it. A few bottles at Total Wine this weekend after the live of the Belle Meade Reserve. Nice. Nice, Cameron. I appreciate it. Thank you. I haven't tried the Ocean Voyage 24. I have 22, but I haven't tried 24. My favorite Buffalo Trace product, it's got to be the William LaRue. Okay, so this smells delicious, but I've just been talking. I haven't tried it. It tastes a lot like it smells. So it is very kind of sweet banana bread. It is very cinnamon. That's not finished in like Amburana. They don't have anything like that, right? Just a toasted barrel. It's really good. This is really, really good. But the toast just comes through a little too much for me. Like it's almost bitter. It's not quite, but it's really borderline kind of being bitter on the finish. So it really hits the back of your tongue and those kind of bitter taste receptors. That's a good whiskey, but I don't think I like it as much as their rye, the Michter's barrel strength rye. I don't think I like it as much as the Michter's toasted bourbon. We got to try it against that. We got to try the Michter's toasted bourbon. We got to side by side those. We got to side by side those, my friend, because let's make sure we get them situated so I don't get them wrong. Lots of Angel's Envy down in South Carolina. Well, rye, the Angel's Envy rye. I can usually find the bourbon pretty good, but I haven't seen the rye. Ever thought about doing a podcast? Yeah, I talked to Cheech, who's in here in the chat, about possibly doing a podcast. We just got 1,000 things going on, right? Like we're growing like crazy over here on TikTok and enjoying that, and YouTube. Lord have mercy. I was looking, and we didn't start getting views on YouTube until July 28th. So in like 2 months, we'll cross over 50,000 subs this week. We've got our Patreon set up, and we're trying to put time into that right now to dedicate to, to help make that worth it. So we've got the patrons set up. We're still trying to, generate some revenue streams and things. In other words, there's just a lot going on. But I do want to do a podcast. I'm just trying to work through and get our setup as content creators. And I say me, and my son's helping me, and our editor, Shred. So we're trying to, get all of our processes in place to support how big of a creator we're becoming. And so, continue to push the envelope and do the long form. So eventually we'll do a podcast. Just gonna take a little time to get there because I don't want to do it if I can't do it right. Clint Hickey, what's going on? Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. I actually found Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel better than this one the other day when we popped it out in a live stream. So, no, this is worth the price. I think it's worth the price. This was $110-ish. I don't know what MSRP was, but it cost about $110. Favorite restaurant in Auburn, Opelika. Ooh, that's difficult. The Hound is hard to beat. So the Hound in Auburn, really hard to beat. Nice bourbon selection. We do get out to Zazu's occasionally. Cafe 123 makes a mighty mean ribeye when I get a chance to do that. But really, there's a lot of good restaurants around here. There's a lot of them. Have not had off hours. Midwinter Night's Dram is finished, and the one I have, I just don't love. It's not bad at all. It might be a B, low B, but I just don't love it. But I need more of them to try them, for sure. Everywhere in Oklahoma on the Angels Envy Rye. Any word on the barrel pick? Okay, so, all right, I want to get y'all's thoughts on this for those that are here. I've got to make a decision on this week. So I've been talking with the Barrel Bourbon Company, Barrel Spirits, about doing a barrel pick. So we're going to buy an entire barrel. I will be able to take 4 patrons, and we will go to Louisville, Kentucky, and we will pick a barrel. They'll give us a bunch to choose from, and we will pick an entire barrel and then have that bottled as a Brewzle store pick. And then obviously we need to sell 150 bottles just to break even. It's a big financial decision. Like I am on the hook for a lot of freaking money if we can't sell 150 bottles. And then I'll just have, if we sell like 30, and then I'll have like 120 or 200 bottles just here in storage, and I will be broke, and I may have to like fire the editor and start editing these myself, and nobody wants to see that. And I'm just kidding, Shred. I would never do that. But so how many bottles can a barrel produce? They seem to think a 200-ish, I think, is the general consensus. So Dram Encore, I haven't seen the Encore now. I haven't seen that. Antique 107, 110 in Chicago. $100, 110, that's tough, but if you never had it, I'd pay that for it. Barrel Seagrass, and I've got a Barrel Vantage we're about to do a video on, their new release. But I've got to make a decision this week. So, and I'll just be straight up and honest with y'all. The barrel is going to cost me about $15,000. That's what a barrel costs. Do I have $15,000 to spend on a barrel? No, I do not. But like I could sell a kidney or something if I had to, right? Like I'll make it work. But we could do a pre-sale, hook up with a distributor. Now the distributor or the website that would do that is going to take like 10 or 15% off the top. So realistically, the bottles are going to be $110 if we do a barrel, the pick I want to do, which is going to be a high proof, barrel blend. But so they're going to be $110. Like that's their MSRP. That's their MAP pricing. They don't want me to sell it for less than that and undercut them. So, it's just going to be a $110 bottle. Like that's just what it's going to be. Now, is it worth that? I don't know. I haven't tasted it yet. I haven't picked it. If it's not good, we can always just say no and walk away. But the idea of just like taking on that, Seamus will front the money. Dwayne will get a few. And again, make sure y'all are in the Discord. I can't post the link over on TikTok right now, but Patreon people. The Brew Crew. Get the pre-sale up. Let's go, Smokey says. I do need a barrel. I do. Second, doing a pre-sale. Let's split a bottle. Z-Money's in if you ship to Michigan. We're going to document the whole thing. So when we do it, we're going to shoot videos around going up there and tasting it. We might even live stream. I might even try to set up and live stream the tasting on YouTube and on TikTok. They said around 200-ish, 200 to 250-ish bottles in a barrel. So it could be profitable, right? But realistically, I'm just saying I need to sell 150 just to recoup the costs of buying the barrel. And then if we, you add a distributor in there, I probably need to sell another 20-something bottles to make up for, their cost of handling it. Because I'm in Alabama, you just can't do things like this in Alabama. They're super conservative. So, it's just like, it's not a money grab, right? Even at $110, I'm scared that I'm not going to go, broke. So from Mobile, what's going on? Do I want it to be profitable? Of course, I would love for it to be profitable. I got a lot of really dumb ideas that require funding. Like I try to tell, it's like our patrons. I try to tell them, all I'm going to do is promise to spend all the money I make from this as irresponsibly as I possibly can. Like I literally just went, and if you're on TikTok, you probably didn't see the video on YouTube. I'm building the ultimate bourbon road tripping machine. So what did I go get? The least fuel efficient car ever made. Solid 10 miles per gallon to go drive all around the country and hunt for bourbon. Not because it's practical, but because it's freaking cool and fun. So, if it's profitable, that just helped me get the Lincoln done faster, right? Like it needs like freaking $6,000, $7,000 worth of work to make it perfect. So, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be honest, for right or wrong, better or worse, whatever. I have not tried balconies, any balconies. I need some. Don't jump into it. It's a big decision. Kyle, I'm going to think about it to the last minute and then I'm going to jump. I'm really leaning toward doing it just because I want to. I want to do it for content. I may go broke, but hey, if y'all see me go bust, if y'all see the production quality go way, way down on these videos, you know what happened. You know what happened. I went broke and I had to start editing them again myself. So start getting a list of folks that are in. I'm going to do that. So next week we will set up a mailing list for folks that are interested, and we'll start getting everybody's contact information for that. Roscoe Pete Coltrane in the house. What's going on? The car is freaking cool, Chris. I'm excited about it. Mr. Salty says he'll cover the cost of the barrel. Just do it. That guy right there is delicious. But is it better than this one right here? Let's give it a try and see. Am I going to drink Justin? I know. I get to run in my trap, man. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Best cheap bourbon. Wild Turkey 101 or Evan Williams Bottle and Bond. It's not better than that, though. It's not better than that. It's not better than that. So this one is much. What's the best way of describing that? Okay, so this one borderlines on a little bitter oak. This one doesn't have that. Like I get an interesting complexity to it, but the flavors are just a little more pleasant. So you get some oakiness, but you get an interesting sweetness to it. I really like that whiskey right there. This guy has a little more cinnamon forward flavor to it. Just a touch of that kind of bitter oak. And cinnamon can come across as bitter oak to me. This is good, but I prefer the flavors that I get in this guy right here. But if you like that kind of cinnamon oakiness, you're going to prefer this guy because that has almost none of it. Like that is really more like this one. If you would have just gave me this, I'm not sure I would have picked that up as a finished whiskey. I can tell a little bit of that kind of finish on the end of it, but you could fool me as to whether or not that's a finished whiskey. This one is pretty obvious. They're both really good, but I prefer the flavors right here. Can't take it with me, Jeff. I've told my wife, when I die, I want her to keep enough money for her to survive, and then the rest of it just needs to be spent on my grave, right? I want like a koi pond and a cherub peeing in it or something. Like we got to do something crazy, so everybody's got to come visit me. With you on the barrel, Jeff says. Nice. drink so much I don't even read the comments. I understand that. Both of these are limited releases. So both of these are Michter's limited release. This is Michter's limited release toasted barrel finish Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. And this is Michter's limited release toasted barrel Kentucky sour mash whiskey. So this is their sour mash. Now, in my defense, I don't think I've ever had Michter's sour mash. I've had their bourbon. I've had the Michter's 10. I've had the American whiskey. I've had the rye. I've had the barrel strength rye. I haven't had the 10-year rye. I haven't had the sour mash. So I'm getting close to trying. I'm collecting all of the Michters. We don't collect. Selecting all of the Michters. I'm pulling the plug party. Mondays now. We're going to do Mondays and Wednesdays. We're just, trying to hang out. Folks want to hang out. So we're going to try to do Mondays and Wednesdays from here on out. We've been trying to stream on Mondays on YouTube, but I've finally got it set up to where I can kind of do both. Hopefully it's not distracting. Y'all let me know if y'all think it sucks that I'm paying attention to both chats, but how do they taste like? So this one, again, this one's very sweet, very classic bourbon. So I get, a lot of that kind of fruity sweetness to it. And it delivers on that with a little bit of oak on the finish. Is this one higher proof? That may be why I like it, honestly. It's not much. 91.4 proof. And this one is 86 proof. Honestly, that may be one of the reasons I like it. But you've got, those classic bourbon flavors with just kind of a nice, nice oaky finish. A little bit of that Michter's caramel. I get a lot of caramel in Michter's products. And it's subtle in this one. It really kind of blends in nice with just the overall kind of fruity sweetness. This one, just that kind of oaky cinnamon just overwhelms it a little bit. And so it really is just kind of oaky cinnamon all the way through for me. I'm not getting a ton of that Michter's caramel. Maybe there's a little in there, but like the cinnamon kind of flavor to me is so pronounced. Now, it's not like the Amberana barrel we were trying recently that was so cinnamon I couldn't even drink it. It's nothing like that. It's not off-putting in any way. It's just, the notes of a good whiskey. So that's what it tastes like to me, which is why I prefer this. This actually is much nicer for the proof than I expected it to be. When I saw the proof on this, I was like, oh my God, I might not like this. I might be disappointed at 86 proof. I do feel like this one has a little better mouthfeel, a little more thickness to it than this guy does. But again, that's probably just the proof difference. So we're going to keep sipping on it, though. We're going to keep sipping on this guy. Well, I need to film a video on it. So I need it not be too empty. Every time if I film one like this, everybody's like, what happened to the rest of the bottle? It's like, well, maybe it's been sitting on a freaking shelf for a year, Karen. A bourbon fountain? That would be cool. Maybe. That might be going too far. What if my grave was just like a big vault for aging bourbon barrels? What are the names of each? Michter's Toasted Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Michter's Toasted Barrel Sour Mash. Kentucky Sour Mash. I have not bacon fat washed bourbon. No, I don't. You asked that a second ago. I said no. I don't know what that is. Like, describe it. I would like to know what that is. Is that a thing? Has anybody done that? I like bacon. I like bourbon. I just don't know what bacon fat washing bourbon is. Yeah, I have tried the American whiskey Michters, but I haven't tried the normal sour mash. Got like it's not 3K whiskeys on the wall. There are about 300 back here behind me now, though. Well, go ahead and have one with me then. Can you explain the lottery? So in Alabama is a state-controlled alcohol system. And so if you want to get good whiskey, they do it one of two ways. They changed it a couple of years ago to try to make it more fair for people. So the first thing they do is a bourbon drop every month. And they will post early in the month. So like maybe tomorrow, probably next Tuesday, they will post what's coming out this month and what stores will get it. They won't post how many for some reason or another. but they'll post what is coming out where, and you can go wait in that line, and then you can buy it. You can buy 2 bottles, but they have to be different, right? And you only get 2 bottles. With the lottery in the state of Alabama, so here, being a state-run lottery, it's a little different. What they do is they put whiskey in 3 tiers. So they call it Table 1, Table 2, Table 3. Table 1 is going to be Pappy's and like the super hard to find stuff. And you can get 1 bottle from that table. Table 2 is going to have a few more bottles on it, and you can get 2 bottles from that table. And so that might be, there might be an Old Forester birthday bourbon, maybe Table 1, Table 2, or a Four Roses limited edition, maybe Table 2, stuff like that, right? That's hard to find, really hard to find, but maybe not like, BTAC level. So Buffalo Trace Antique Collection level. So like your William LaRue Weller and stuff. And then there's tier 3 or table 3 as they call it. Table 3 is the entire rest of the store. And that's going to be your Blantons and your Old Forester barrel picks and, stuff like that. Rock Hill Farms might be table 2, but then you're going to have like a Hancock Reserve table 3. And they're just going to have a bunch of kind of hard to find allocated stuff on table 3. And there may be hundreds of table 3. And in table 3, you can get 2 of every bottle you want. So you get 2 bottles of Blantons, 2 bottles of Old Forester 100, 2 bottles of Old Forester store picks, that kind of thing. Like realistically, if you're early in line and there's a lot of options, you can really load up. Like you can end up buying 100 freaking bottles of whiskey if you really wanted to. But then they allow you to go online and enter, and then they draw names for each store. Like you enter and you pick a store, and then they draw names, and they only pick 100 people. So 1 through 100. And so I very rarely, I actually have never won. I had a friend, the ones I got in the lottery, a buddy of mine owed me a favor and entered for me. He won, and he went through and got them and then provided them to me at MSRP. So like this year, I didn't win. But there's a walk-up line after the lottery's over. So after the 100 people go through, you can walk up and get what's left. So last year, I didn't win. I went and I was 50th in line after the 100. So about 150th in line. And I was able to get a Thomas Handy Sazerac Rye. I was able to get, a few bottles. I got 5 or 6 pretty nice bottles of whiskey. So that's pretty much the lottery system. Now, other stores, chains, and things like that do the lottery quite a bit different. So it might be different where you're at. If you're talking about like a Total Wine or something, they're going to use it as like a reward system. So you're going to get reward points, and then you're going to get drawn for a particular bottle, and then you show up and you get that bottle. Distilleries have started doing a lottery. So Old Forester did a lottery for the birthday bourbon. Instead of lining up at the distillery and getting a bottle, they just did a lottery online. You win it, then you get to drive up there and pick up a bottle. Those kinds of things. I haven't had the KC Maple, so I don't know. Looks like my fine collection will finally come to use. There you go. I mean, we're just trying to hang out. Hopefully Mondays and Wednesdays work for everybody. I know there's a lot of other streamers out there, so I appreciate everybody hanging out with me. You put melted bacon in whiskey and just let it sit, and then you take the bacon fat out. So when you say melted bacon, you just put bacon fat in whiskey and let it sit, and then you take the bacon fat out, and then you drink the whiskey? Is this a good thing? Are these good? What's the longest I've waited for a bottle? I mean, I did the video on waiting 43 hours. Now, that's a long story. I would not recommend, nor have I ever waited 43 hours. Typically, outside of that I did under special circumstances, usually I'll go wait. Like, I don't want to sleep there. So, like, if the liquor store opens at 10, I might get there at midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock after having gone to bed early and wait, 7-8 hours. But you're not just waiting in line. Like, you're hanging out with other bourbon enthusiasts. So we'll literally get up there and crack open bottles and be sharing bottles and telling stories and talking about things and trying different stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Jeff, I am very much an e-commerce guy. Yes, if you need a website to sell something, I am that guy. And we do a lot of e-commerce content for work. So every once in a while, even though our e-commerce content has not been near as successful as our bourbon content, every once in a while, somebody will come through here that recognizes me from that stuff. Monday the 10th. So they released the list here in Alabama next Monday. What's up from Alaska? Magento is to e-commerce like is to bourbon. Ooh, that's a loaded question. Loaded question that nobody else here is going to get, right? So it's complex, it's big, it's costly, but it's really good, and it's got to be aged pretty old. So, because Magento's been around for a long time. So I don't know. That's probably going to be like maybe like a 20-something-year-old Pappy's there. Good stuff. Love me on both. Well, thank you. Thank you. The Michter $20 hike. Okay, so let's talk about prices of bourbon. I want y'all's opinion on it. So, and I haven't bought any Michters in a while other than this one that somebody got for me, and I don't know what the MSRP is on it. So it's been a while. So I haven't fallen to any Michter's hype. This is our hike. This is the first I've heard of it. But this is the situation we're in bourbon wise. You've got people who put out good whiskey. Now, putting out good whiskey is expensive. Barrels are in short supply. The glue to make the barrels has been in shortage. Like everything, the cost for people and warehouse space, like all of your costs to make good anything is gone up. And that's no exception for whiskey. But then you put out a limited release like this guy right here, and you release it for whatever you release it for. And then next week it's on the secondary market and people are gobbling this sucker up for $200, $250 when you sold it to somebody for peanuts, right? So as a distillery, if your stuff is in high demand, like I would much rather see Pappy's MSRP at like $800 or $2,000, and you just have to pay $2,000 for it. But the distillery gets a lot of that money, or in this case, the Van Winkle family gets a lot of that money, rather than it being some guy that was able to buy it for $100 and he turned around and flipped it. So on the flip side, like they know supply and demand, and if their whiskey costs that, like, would you rather buy Michter's at $60 and them not make money and go broke, or not be able to do cool experimental stuff, or would you rather buy Michter's at $80 and then be able to put out good products and you continue to get it? Like that, like this is not a product, or really any Michter's is not a product where you're just sitting around trying to have a cheap drink. It's really not. It's unfortunate that everything continues to get more expensive. That is unfortunate consequences of inflation and our market dynamics right now. And it sucks all the way around. It's just hard to have margin on anything right now. And unfortunately, whiskey is just now starting to catch up with that. I have not toured any distilleries in Nashville, no. Not very much bourbon where you're at. That sucks. 80 and I want it. There you go. I've heard of Old Kirk. I haven't had it. Used to buy Blanton's for $45. Yeah, and around here you can get it in the whiskey drops. I have a video coming out. It should come out this week. I've got a video coming out where I did how hard is it to get a bottle of Blanton's in Alabama. And so I went through whatever it took to get a bottle of Blanton's and created a video, and that should be coming out, the long form on YouTube, and then the short probably will come out this week on TikTok, and then the short for it will come out on YouTube next week. I don't really drink a lot of tequila. Me and tequila don't get along. Me and tequila get into a fight, it wins every single time. Tequila is undefeated versus me. I like Buffalo Trace a lot. Zacapa. Okay. Have I tried Elijah Craig? Well, we had Elijah Craig Rye tonight. I've got Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, pretty good. Elijah Craig Store Pick, good. Their barrel strengths I like them. I don't love them, but I like them a lot. What's happening? Hank Williams Jr. in the chat over on YouTube. What is the oldest whiskey? The oldest whiskey I have? I don't know, like in general. But the oldest whiskey I have is probably going to be about 18 years old. I don't like bourbon that's really about 12 years because I don't like bitter oak. And the older it gets, the more bitter oak you get on it. So I like oak, but I like a sweet oak, which is what you get, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. So that's 18. Elijah Craig 18 is probably the oldest bottle I have. I think I have some 15s and some 14s, but World Vlogs from Seattle. What's happening? Welcome. What's your go-to Friday night bourbon? Again, Weller Antique 107. What's your mixed drink? If I'm mixing, usually it's going to be ancient age 10 star. That's what we use for our old fashions around here, unless I have a bottle I'm just trying to get rid of. Top 3 ryes. Ryes are still, like, we're just getting into ryes. The Michter's toasted, the Michter's barrel strength rye is number 1. I had a Wild Turkey 101 rye. That's pretty good. And then Michter's normal rye release. Probably my top 3 right now. Old fashions are great, yeah. I like makers. I don't like just normal makers, but like makers limited release, higher proof stuff, makers 101, those kinds of things are awesome. I appreciate the emotes there. What's that Michter? This is Michter's barrel strength, or not barrel strength, excuse me, Michter's toasted barrel sour mash. It's been a while since I've had Woodinville. So it is a Santa Pappy. It's a 15-year-old Santa Pappy, yeah. And it tasted just like any other 15-year-old Pappy. Probably should have traded it and drank a normal Pappy. Tequila is what I call tequila. That's pretty much the truth right there. I did not get the ABC store pick Elijah Craig. They had it, but I have a store pick that I just haven't drank yet, so I didn't end up picking it up. Appreciate it, DKG. Take it easy. Michter's is a great intro to rye. So if you're not sure about ryes, Michter's is a great intro. It's very bourbon forward, right? It tastes a lot like their bourbon with a little rye spice. The E.H. Taylor rye, Mr. Salty, that's a good one too. It's just been so long. I have a bottle. It's just been a really long time. That would probably be top 4. It might crack that top 3 as well. That's a good one. I'd forgot about that one. What would I recommend to people new to whiskey? We need to create this video. So if you're new to whiskey, I want you to try a bunch of different stuff. I want you to start with low proofers. I want you to go get a Buffalo Trace if you can find it, and an Eagle Rare, both made by the same people, both at like, I think, what, 80 proof, both of those? 80 to 90 proof is what I'm going to recommend. I would say get an Elijah Craig, get a Old Forester 86 proof, Elijah Craig small batch, and maybe a Four Roses single barrel. Try those. Get an idea of what you like and come back, and then we can start exploring based off of that. Devin, you don't need to open that Michter's barrel strength rye. You just need to go ahead and send it to me. Don't open it. It's not good for you. That is terrible, terrible for you. It's delicious to you. It's terrible for you. Send it on over. Yeah, we did a video on Wild Turkey Long Branch. It's okay. Not great. It's okay. Actually, I thought this was better to me, just because it doesn't have that like really bitter oakiness and this is Jason Aldean's Wolf Moon that we tried tonight. Blanton's Gold or straight from the barrel? Ooh, I'm probably gonna go Blanton's Gold more often than straight from the barrel, but straight from the barrel hits different. It's like it's kind of similar to like a Stag Junior, or what used to be Stag Junior. But I think I like the bottle of straight from the barrel I have better than most of the Stag Juniors I've had to open. Not all of them. There's a couple of batches of Stag Junior that have been really good, but that bottle of straight from the barrel I've got open right now is really, really good. Sazerac 6, I don't like Sazerac. I don't like Sazerac rye. That's one of the few things by Buffalo Trace I'm just not a fan of. It's very rye forward. Like, you got to really like the rye to have a Sazerac. So, I'm going to disagree with you there, just because if you're not really into that ryeness, everyone I've had is very rye forward. Haven't had Rebecca Creek. Michter's American's good, very caramel forward. Anything by Michter's is going to be good, though. Country Boy fell asleep. Sorry about that, man. I didn't mean to put you to sleep. Dunny, what's going on? Never seen a single Blanton's other than regular, even on secondary. Yeah, they're hard to come by. The straight from the barrel and Blanton's Gold are really, really hard to come by. My Blanton's Gold came from Europe. I'm not even sure where I got that straight from the barrel. I've been sitting on it for so long. Really want a bottle of Stag Junior. Some of them are exceptional. Now, you got to like the high proof, though. Michter's was requiring Vax cards last time you tried to go in. That was probably 2020, right? Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof is one of the best barrel proofs out there. Like Jack Daniel's, we love to hate on Jack Daniel's, old number 7, right? And it's a great mixer. It's not like an exceptional bourbon like this, but to drink like this. But most everything else Jack Daniel's releases is really good. Brothers Bond Bottle Shop in Columbus has it. I'll have to get over there. I've been trying to get over to the bottle shop the last couple of weeks for some hunting, but I haven't been able to make it. Larceny's good stuff. The barrel strength's actually really good. It did good on the blind last week. We tried it against some other. I was trying to pick the Weller Antique 107, and the Larceny barrel strength came in second. Why don't I drink it on the rocks? I just don't like what ice does to whiskey. So if I'm going to put it on the rocks, it's going to be mixed, right? So Jack and Coke on the rocks, or a whiskey and Coke on the rocks, or an old fashioned on the rocks, great. But just whiskey on the rocks, it just tastes like hairspray to me. Like, it just makes it worse. Old Charter, haven't had that, but I keep hearing great things about it. Heaven Hill products are really good there, Austin. Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof sucks, been harder to find lately. Yeah, I'm out. We drank all of mine a month or so ago, and I haven't run across one yet. You know what? I may have seen one this past week, but I bought a bunch of bottles this past week for a video, or 4 videos. Some of them for, you know, reviews, some of them just for a video on bourbon hunting. I had to slow down. We got to cut back somewhere. The Josh man, what's going on? B522 Larceny. I think that's what I was drinking. Calumet 15 year. That's a good pour. I really like the 16, but the 15 is good stuff. Bourbon Trail. I'm not a Bourbon Trail guy. I don't know. All I do is work and live stream with y'all. Screwball. Screwball. It's peanut butter whiskey. If you like peanut butter whiskey, like if you're just in for a good time and you just want something that tastes like sugar and goes down pretty easy but has alcohol in it, that'll do it. That'll do the job. There are better things out there in life than Screwball to me, right? To even get the job done. Like, just get some Vanilla Crown or something. That would be a better mixer to me. But it does the trick. It's not my jam, man. I'm trying not to say bad things about it, because some folks like it. It's fine. Nothing wrong with it. If you mix it in the right thing, probably be fine. I've had Coy Hill, and I would love a bottle of it, man. I'm really, really hoping to find one someday. Honest thoughts on Blanton's. Blanton's is a really good whiskey. Like, it's a really good bourbon. It's overhyped, sure. It's got a great bottle, but it's hard to hate on what Blanton's is at MSRP. How good is Buffalo Trace in general? Buffalo Trace is a B- here on my bar, so it's like an 81. So that's a pretty good Glencairn worthy. I get a little bit of complexity on it, but it is a little simple and it's low proof. Jim Beam single barrel, nice. Haven't had one of those. Ancient Age, I bought a bunch of Ancient Age for some experiments, but Ancient Age is what you want if you're going to get one of those. Yeah. I've got, we're on TikTok as well. Sorry, Devin. I know that get a little confusing when I'm answering questions and they're not in the chat. But TikTok tends to move a little faster. We still got like 280 something folks over there. And y'all let me know, like, if this is bothersome that I'm streaming on both, then I'll pick one night and do YouTube and one night and do TikTok. I finally got it set up to where I can kind of try to do both, and I thought I'd give it a try this week. We did it last week. It seemed to work okay. We're doing it this week as well. So let me know if it's a little too much. It was a short week this week, but I picked up a bottle of Wild Turkey 101. Let me know what you think about that Inactive Cactus. It's been a while since I've had Woodinville, so I don't know if it's worth chasing. I couldn't tell you. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. The Smoke Wagon I have is not uncut unfiltered, so I haven't had it. I don't think I've had Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered. I have a Smoke Wagon, but it's not that one. Saw a bottle of Coy Hill in Tennessee for my honeymoon. Ooh, $800. I wouldn't be doing that. I passed on it at $5. If I have to pick Calumet 15 or Blanton's, it depends on what you're into, right? So Blanton's, what is the Rick on the Blanton's? I hear the higher the Rick number, like above 50, they get really good. So like mine's a 50 something. It's a really good bottle of Blanton's. I don't know if that's an old wives' tale, if it's not true, but the Calumet 15 is really solid. So I don't think you go wrong with either of those. Do you really have enough? Well, I would probably have to cut back, right? Like right now we can stream 2 days because we're doing both at the same time. If I were to have to cut back, we'd probably do Monday on TikTok and Wednesdays on YouTube or vice versa, right? Calumet 15 all day over blends. Well, there you go. I did have Blade Bow. I did enjoy it. It was not super complex, though. Is there thoughts on Jefferson's? Jefferson's is all over the place. I'm assuming you're talking about Jefferson's Ocean, though. It's fine. Depends on the voyage, right? The wheated ones are good. I don't have a bottled old-fashioned I'm going to recommend, but we're trying to pick some up to try. Favorite whiskey with a cigar? The Joseph Magnus cigar blend, if you can get it. But that's intense. It's hard to get. So with that in mind, I would that's probably where a finished whiskey would actually do really well. So, something with a little port wine finish like an Angel's Envy probably do really well with a cigar. Haven't had Seals. Michter's is good stuff. Jefferson's Ocean is a gimmick, yes, but it's still lots of gimmicks are fun. I want to put a barrel in the back of a Lincoln Continental and age it. Is it a gimmick? Hell yeah, it's a gimmick. Still a lot of fun. 15-year Peppy, good stuff. Four Roses makes a lot of really nice products, right? Small batch select, can't go wrong with that. Their limited release stuff is fantastic. Their single barrel strengths are excellent. I appreciate it, Justin. Thank you. Sipping on some JD Triple Mash. Y'all, if y'all haven't had Jack Daniel's Triple Mash, you need to go get some because that is a really solid pour for sure. Elmer T. Lee at Total Wine on Friday for $59. Have you tried it yet, Salty? It's surprising for $25 a bottle. This 101 is very nice on the nose. Let's see. What were you? Okay. Oh, the Wild Turkey 101. Yeah, that's a good bottle. That to me, that's the best bottle of whiskey you can regularly get for under 25 bucks. Starlight Cigar Batch, I haven't had that one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's where finished whiskey. I don't smoke a ton of cigars. Occasionally, but I would think a finished whiskey like the Thomas Moore Sherry Cask would probably do pretty well. My dang foot gets stuck in this chair here. It gets I just slide it in there and it won't come out. Best Michters? Oof, that's tough. You're asking me to pick between my children now. What is the best Michters? The 10 year's really good, but honestly, my favorite may be the Barrel Strength Rye. Even though I do like these that I'm drinking here, the Barrel Strength Rye just hits different. Rare Breed is much better than what, Rogue? I mean, Rare Breed is better than Wild Turkey 101, sure, but it's not a $25 bottle. That's like a $50 bottle. So it's twice as much, should be twice as good if we're using, if the transitive property applies, should be twice as good. And it is a lot better. But you got to be into super high proof, and it's it's twice as much. So, still like my E.H. Taylor barrel proof. Oh, I don't have one. So I need it. Chris is drinking Wild Turkey 101. All Wild Turkey except for the new single Rick House has an MSRP of $250. I have not tried that, and I haven't tried the Wild Turkey came out with a 12-year. I didn't have that either. And I want to say they just came out with some other limited release that I haven't tried. Don't have 10 Cup. Pro athletes getting into the bourbon business. It's just marketing, right? You got an audience. Ask somebody who creates content that would love to build a community and be able to, to use that community in a positive light to make an influence on the bourbon industry. It's hard for me. There's a lot of content creators that need revenue to make it work, right? And if this were my full-time job, I could put so much more time into content and we could do so many more things and explore so many different ideas. And so it takes revenue to do that, right? There's a lot of folks that need to leverage their community to generate revenue. When you're super famous and you've got a huge following and you're just a marketing machine, I guess it makes sense to leverage that to put out products, but they really need to be something that they themselves actually have some part in doing, right? Rather than it just being a cash grab. And so if you're George Clooney with Casamigos and you actually just are trying to build something for yourself and your friends and you do limited releases and then it just grows into something awesome and you turn it into a legitimate company, I think that's wonderful. But if you're just hey, I'm famous and people know me and I could slap my name on something bad and we can just, sell it, or who cares if it's good, or I don't drink it anyway. I mean, that just sucks. But that sucks in any industry, not just bourbon, right? I mean, you're not buying NFTs from the Kardashians, are you? Right? So don't just because somebody you watch on TV has something or says something is something you should spend your money on, don't believe it. Have a Russell's Reserve 13 and a Master's Keep 1. I haven't had the Master's Keep 1, but I do love the Master's Keep 17-year bottle and bond. Thoughts on their distillery? I haven't been to the Michter's distillery. I want to. Wathers. I had a Wathers single barrel, but man, it's been a while and I can't remember. I can't remember if it was good or if we ended up making a freaking bourbon glaze out of it. Like, I can't even remember. Four Roses Small Batch Select is usually what I call my beach whiskey, right? If I go down to the beach, I can go to just about any liquor store and they're going to have that. And so I tend to, consume a good bit of that during the summers. I think it's a pretty good bottle. What Elijah Craig bottle worth searching for? Elijah Craig 18, if you like oakiness. The proof down a little bit, but I still think it's a really interesting expression at 18 years old. And the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, for sure. The barrel strengths are, it just depends on whether or not you're into that. But I think the Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel is the one I would be searching for the most. Probably my favorite Elijah Craig. Estimated value of the wall behind me. My wife watches these live streams. She didn't want to come down and stream with me tonight. I tried to talk her into it. I didn't try real hard because she didn't seem to really want to tonight. She'd been busy. She got home late. So I hate to say it, but they're 300 bottles, right? So if there's 300 bottles and they're just worth $50 a piece, that's a lot of money. Now, I didn't pay what they're worth. I just want to be clear. And this is years of buying whiskey, but it's a pretty nice, if it's not a new Toyota Camry, it's a really nice used one. Best example of a celebrity spirit that is actually decent or actually excellent is Cabo Wabo tequila. Sold it for $80 million. Okay, I haven't tried that. So obviously, like, I'm trying to think of a celebrity bourbon that's actually like they really put a lot of effort into it. So like this, Jason Aldean's, that's an okay whiskey. It's okay. I found nothing to hate about this whiskey, but like he just went somewhere and said, "Hey, make me a whiskey," and that is my guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just haven't seen some celebrity put a ton of effort into crafting their own bourbon. You've got some that are investors and things in it, but like they're not like a bourbon guy. Go to now. I remember it was so hard to get this time last year, for sure. Kind of like what you have in the car with. Yes, exactly. Don't ask when my wife's around. So, King Ranch. Widow Jane tenure, pretty good. I like the 13 better. Most disappointing bourbon. So if I'm going to say disappointing, I'm going to say like set the stage for disappointing. So secondary price, right, which is demand. So secondary price sets demand. It's a demand value thing, right? So how limited it is, how much people want it, versus so that set my expectation on how good it could be. And then I try it, and it is not that. For me, that was the Elmer T. Lee we were talking about a little earlier. Like, I just expected so much from that whiskey. I don't know why. What is it, 80 proof, Buffalo Trace product, single barrel. I expected that to be so much based on the secondary hype, and it was just a fine bourbon. Like, yeah, is it better? It was better than this bourbon, but still a disappointment just based on the hype and everything I was expecting out of it. That's probably the biggest one where I was like, because I was on that Buffalo Trace hype train, right? I had gotten Blanton's Gold, I'd gotten Rock Hill Farms, like I had got some hitters, right? Straight from the barrel, Stag Jr. And I'm like, oh, Elmer T. Lee's next. Got the Elmer T. Lee, and I was like, that just derailed the whole damn train, That just knocked us off our tracks, man. That wasn't, what is this? What did we spend our money on? Is the Orange Challenger in your new video my daily driver? It used to be, Austin. The Orange Challenger. So I've got a 2014 SRT8 Super B. So it's a Dodge Charger Super B. It was my daily driver until the engine blew. The engine blew about 4 years ago, and Dodge denied the warranty claim. It had 70,000 miles on it. They denied the warranty claim. So I sued them, and it took 4 years with COVID and everything. It took 4 years for them to actually pay me the money to fix the car. So I literally just got an engine in it 2 months ago. So I ended up going and buying a Toyota just for the warranty, just because all the warranty problems I had with Dodge. It sucks, but that suing them was what helped me keep the car and get it back running and allowed me to hold on to it, because normally I would have had to have traded that in for a daily driver. Bradshaw's not too bad. Best off the shelf bottle? I don't understand what you're asking. All of them come off some shelf somewhere, right? Booker's, good stuff, intense. You gotta like Jim Beam, and you gotta like some intense flavors, but Booker's is interesting. It took some time for Booker's to grow on me, though. I hear the Kirkland stuff at Costco's is good, but there's not a Costco around here. Monday, yeah, well, we're starting. So we have been trying to stream on Monday on YouTube, and then stream for a little while on TikTok, but I have it set up now to where I can stream on both at the same time, and nobody's told me it's really irritating yet. So if it is really irritating, I'm sorry. I'm sure somebody now will tell me that it's super irritating, but I haven't had Brothers Bond. Is Bradshaw worth the money? I heard it's not bad. I don't know if it's worth the money. I haven't tried it yet. Anything you recommend similar to Angel's Envy? So what you want to do is just try some port finish stuff, right? That's a port wine finish. So I can't think of any port wine finishes right off the top of my head, but I would be exploring anything with a port wine finish. Most underrated, inexpensive whiskey. Well, nowadays, I don't know if a whiskey can be really good and underrated. Evan Williams Bottle and Bond, Wild Turkey 101. I would say the early times Bottle and Bond, but those are changing a little bit now. Rare Breed. Rare Breed's probably that just like super, really, really good high proof whiskey that nobody really goes after. It probably, like, if you're just going to say underrated to me, maybe like an Old Grandad 114. That's a pretty good high proof cheap whiskey. Have you had Laws? I have not had Laws whiskey. Streaming both works? Awesome. Starlight has a port finish. There you go. I hear great things about Starlight. The only Starlight I had, I didn't love, but it was Amberana. That's on me, not on them, Old Tub. Old Tub is not my favorite. It's a Bottle and Bond Jim Beam product, 100 proof, Jim Beam, 4 years old. It's probably one of the few Bottle and Bonds where I'm just like, it's okay. Baker 7 year. I haven't had the single barrel version. I have the old Baker 7. So a couple of years ago, they were in a different bottle and they went to this single barrel. I haven't had the single barrel, but the old Baker 7 is fantastic. Booker's is good lava. Take it easy, Danny. Appreciate you hanging out. High Country was disappointed. Interesting. Jason Aldean, uncle owns the distillery that made the bourbon. Oh, you're just kidding, but it sounded good. Well, there you go. Very Old St. Nick. I've got a buddy that loves those Very Old St. Nick, so every time I get one, I just end up shipping it to him because it's a rye. The ones I've had are rye, and I just wasn't sure about it. Yeah, Christopher, OGD 114. There you go. Buffalo Trace Pick that is better than my Elmer T. Lee. The Elmer T. Lee I have is not as good as just normal Buffalo Trace to me, or at least it's not better. It's about the same. Booker's does drink hot compared to other barrel proofs. Yeah, Booker's is hot. It's intense. The one I have just tastes like boiled peanuts and dirt. So if you're not super into bourbon, you're going to be like, do I really want to drink something that tastes like boiled peanuts and dirt? Maybe not, but if you're really into bourbon, it can grow on you. I promise you, because it did that. I haven't had New Riff or Nulu yet, no. Smoke Wagon. Smoke Wagon's MGP source stuff. So MGP makes a lot of good whiskey. So yeah. Do you drink solely to... Oop, I missed the question. Sorry about that. It scrolled right off my screen as soon as I was... Something about a personal question. Drink so... Post it again. I'll get an answer. Sorry. I don't mind personal questions. Blanton's Gold on the way from UK. Nice. Good score. Best alternative to Old Grandad 114. You can't find that anymore? I mean, you might just have to step up and... I don't know if there's not a... I don't think there's a super low-end, high-proof whiskey that's a substitute for that. Haven't heard Curveball barbecue whiskey? It's barbecue whiskey? They're pushing social media advertising hard. And I'm surprised they haven't just mailed me a bottle as people tend to do these days, hoping I'll make a video about it. If you make barbecue whiskey, you probably should send it to me. You probably should. Because if it's good, then I'm going to say really dumb things about it and talk about how good it is. And if it sucks, I'm going to make fun of it. And you're going to get promo either way. Four Roses small batch. You like caramel butterscotch? Have you had Michters? Not these, but like normal Michter stuff. Go for that. Thoughts on best readily available bottle of whiskey? Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Fable and Folly's pretty good. I've got a bottle of it. Somebody gave me. I was at an event and they're like, "Hey, just take this." I thought it was a really good whiskey. The Uncle Nearest I've tried are fine, but they're all source stuff that I've tried, like some early stuff from them. It's going to be good. Like Uncle Nearest is going to make good stuff. I just haven't, like most of their stuff, it's just fine, the stuff I've had. Lots of folks over on TikTok. We definitely get more viewership on TikTok, but at the same time, we have a much higher viewer, lot higher following count over on TikTok, and TikTok does a good job of promoting the stream over there. Whereas YouTube, YouTube hasn't figured out really well how to promote live streams to shorts viewers. So I feel like if we had, the number of views on long form videos that we do on shorts, well then they would, they promote it pretty well to long form viewers, but they don't do real well to shorts viewers. So we'll get 100. I think we had 92 is about the most we've had over there at one time. Whereas on TikTok, we'll get 1,500 fairly regularly. Clyde May Sweet Alabama Whiskey. I don't know about Sweet Alabama. I do have Clyde May's original Alabama whiskey. That's good stuff. Rare Breed's been hard to find. Rare Breed was hard to find around here for a while, and now it is everywhere again. So, barrel proof that drinks like a non-barrel proof. I would say that that Joseph Magnus cigar blend didn't taste like a barrel proof to me. Like it tastes like it was proofed down a little bit. Weller full proof can taste a little less proof. The Larceny barrel proof we had the other day, I probably wouldn't have said it was quite barrel proof. I would have said it was high, but maybe not as high as it was. So, but it just sometimes it depends on the night and what you've been drinking and eating as well. Low age statement to high price, but it's so intense. So it's not like, I don't know how they age it, but however they age it, they're getting a lot of flavor in the ones I have. And I've tried some other ones and they were good. I don't think they were as good as the one that I've had. Younger honey barrels could be better than average higher aged bourbon. Yeah, exactly. It's not about, age matters, but age in context matters. So like if you put a barrel, I would not want to try a 12-year-old Texas whiskey. Wouldn't want to try it. It's just going to be sawdust. It's just going to be like eating the barrel. And I'll stand corrected, but like there's so much heat in Texas. So it depends on where it's at in the rick house, the condition that barrel's in, as much as the age as to the flavor they're going to extract out of it. Jill she was busy. She didn't really want to, I've been trying to get her to stream with me regularly on Mondays. We'll see if I can make that happen. It is a lot more fun when she's here. I think the live stream's a lot better when she's here. So we'll see if she'll commit to doing these regular Monday streams with me. My store has Calumet 16 for 20 more than Calumet 15. I don't know if it's worth $20 more, but it did taste quite a bit different to me. It is better. It is better. And if you hadn't had it, I would probably splurge and spend the $20 on it. But I'm just not 100% sure. But see, Cheech is saying much, much better. Cheech is like, this is $20. Yes, take it. Tennessee Old Smoky Whiskey. We just did a video on that, I think, right? Wasn't that the peach pecan? Oh, no, that's Old Camp. I'm sorry. I haven't had Old Smoky. Leopold Bros. Haven't tried that. Peerless. I haven't had the Peerless Rye. The Peerless Bourbon I love, though. It's a good one. Rittenhouse Rye. I don't have a Rittenhouse Rye, no. How about Larceny? I really like Larceny Barrel Proof. The regular Larceny I've had's just been fine. It's pretty good. But the Larceny Barrel Proof's actually a really good whiskey. You see me drinking every day? Well, I don't know how, because I don't drink every day. So we stream on Mondays and Wednesdays, and those are usually the days I drink. I will drink on Saturdays during football season, though. Which Fable and Folly? Let me get it down. Let me get it down. Let's give it a try. It's been a little while. Don't get the 8. Yeah, I hear the Calumet 8 is bad, but he hated it so much. That's funny about that, though. ADHD Whiskey hated Calumet 8 so bad in his review, it makes me want to try it just to see what he hates about it so much, right? That's how weird that is. Like, he may lead to more sales just by shitting on it. Fable and Folly right here. Orphan Barrel, Fable and Folly. That's what we're talking about, right? Aged 14 years, finest quality whiskey. I don't know what that says, but small fonts. Lots and lots of small fonts. So we got this one right here, whatever this is. I don't like any George Dickel. Travel, don't like them. So I don't have a favorite. I just kind of hate them all. She's shopping for more pesto. Hate the malted rye flavor, but $2.91 single barrel proof, drinks much lower than 126 proof. Nice. Let me get a fresh Glencairn over here. Bourbon you recommend. I recommend all sorts of bourbons. If you can get your hands on this one, try this one. This is really good. If you, like, realistically, if you're asking that question just generally, I'm assuming you're just getting started. So go get a Wild Turkey 101, or maybe you're just getting started with the channel at least. Get a Wild Turkey 101, get a Wild Turkey Rare Breed, try those. Evan Williams Bottle and Bond, if you can get your hands on that. Maybe an Eagle Rare or a Buffalo Trace, and let me know your thoughts on those, and then we can kind of go from there, right? Buffalo Trace Kosher Rye and Wheat, nice. I'm supposed to have some of those coming in the mail here pretty soon, so I'm excited. I had the rye, and I really liked it. So I'm waiting, excited to try the rest of them. Widow Jade's good stuff. 10 years good. 13's even better. I didn't like the 15. I gave that one away. Oh, that smells wonderful. Are you sitting in line for the Wild Turkey single Rickhouse, $250 a bottle? I don't think so. Like, is that coming out here? I don't know. That'll probably be a lottery thing in Alabama if it comes out, or is that like a Kentucky only thing? $250, like, that's kind of, it is not often I will spend $250 for a bottle of whiskey. Like, that is a really rare thing. This smells like candy. This just smells like cherry candy. It's got a couple of other notes there. It's almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost minty, but it is just kind of cherry candy. I tried this. Somebody, like I said, somebody gave me this, the Likes. Dan and Julie gave me this bottle. I was at the Bourbon Junkies meetup in Michigan. And it was kind of the end of the night, and we were cleaning up the tables and stuff, and Dan just handed me the bottle. He's like, here, take this. And I was like, well, I've never had an Orphan Barrel. That's freaking fantastic. I'll take that. So, made at Stitzelweller. I don't know if this is finished, if that's what's giving it that kind of weird sweetness, but I brought it home, and I just had, it's almost empty or half empty. But I've really only had a sip of this. But I had it in the middle of a long night of tasting whiskeys. But that's really good. That is really, really good. I am getting lit up on text message. It's Discord. Folks, joining the Discord. What's going on? ADHD Whiskey in the house over on YouTube. What's going on, Jaden? Basil Hidden Dark Rye? Haven't tried that. Some sage? I don't know if I'd go that far. But yeah, $250 is a lot for a bottle of Wild Turkey. I want one, but I just don't think I'm going to pay that much for it. Balcony single. God, this thing just smells delicious. Thoughts on Russell? So a lot of the Russell stuff gives me bitter oak, and I'm not a huge bitter oak fan. So that keeps me from loving most of them. The 13 year is the best one, but the first release of the 13 I thought was considerably better than the second. KC Whiskey Expo in November? Probably not. When you say KC, is it like Kansas City Whiskey Expo? I didn't even know this was a thing. I've got to go to SEMA, so I'll be out in Vegas early November for, automotive conference for work. But, if it doesn't interfere with that, my wife's got some friends up in Kansas City. Might be worth going. I've tried the Blue Run High Rye. That's pretty good. Calumet 15, yes. Cheech over here was saying the 16 is much, much better. I've only had a sample of the 15, but I really do like the 16. We're thinking about buying that 24-year Orphan Barrel Scotch. Well, if this one's any indicator, I'm not a Scotch fan, but this thing right here is solid. Single Rickhouse seems like tater bait. Just call me King Tater. Just call me King Tater. I don't mind being a tater. I'm not a tater hater, that's for sure. Are you a tater hater? CH, you a tater hater? Russell's 10 is definitely bitter oak to me. The single barrel I have is much better, and the 13 is leagues better. I would say so. The Russell's 10 was, I did a blind, and the 10-year actually won the blind with a bunch of different people, but in all fairness, I had a bunch of young folks, and so the lower proof of the 10 is probably what appealed to them. I picked the 13, Jill picked the 13, all the 3 other young folks picked the 10. So I probably didn't set that blind up for success, but, sue me. Kansas City, I'm an admin of a local group. Get in the Discord, remind me of this. If you're not in the Discord, like youtube.com/Brewzle is over there, and they're dropping links. ADHD, yeah, Cheats dropping ADHD Whiskey's link. If y'all not watching AD, come on. How did you get here? How did you get here and you're not watching his stuff? His stuff's funny. Taylor Small Batch, Taylor Small Batch, really good. The single barrel's exceptional. The small batch is really good. Even the Taylor Rye. What about Kansas City? Somebody was posting an event in Kansas City in November. King Taylor, not Taylor, Tater. Tater's like a simp, but for bourbon, basically, right? So it's like you'll stand in line, or you do extraordinary things for what should be just ordinary bourbons. But I don't mind being a tater. I'll take it. I own it. Josh is a tater too. 1792 is better than Blanton's. I did see that. I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but 1792 is good. Elijah Craig 18 is awesome. This toast, I haven't had their normal sour mash, but this toasted sour mash was actually really good. I preferred this, I think, a bit to it. This is their toasted bourbon. I thought it was a little better than this one. But honestly, this one's been sitting with some air on it. This one is a fresh crack. Don't know how much impact, if any, that had on it. Love the Russell's 10. Nice. It's a good pour. Try Russell Single Barrel, too, if you can get your hands on it. Can you say your thoughts on the last whiskey? Oh, this one right here? You talking about this one? Is that what you're talking about, Captain? This is an exceptional bottle of freaking whiskey. Like I said, somebody gave me this. I think this is a really expensive bottle. I've never even seen one. I don't come across Orphan Barrel stuff. I think I saw one in the shop once, and they wanted like $500 for it or something, and I was like, I think I'll pass on that. But it just smells like cherry candy to me. It is just delicious. French Fry says it's harder to keep up a lie. What do you mean? Yeah, it's wide open. It's just easy. What's a great starter whiskey? Start with low proof stuff. Buffalo Trace stuff is so sought after for a reason, right? It's kind of universally loved. So try Buffalo Trace, try Blanton's, work your way into maybe like an Elijah Craig small batch. Try an Old Forester 86 proof. Try a bunch of different stuff, and then kind of come back and we can talk about what you like, what you didn't like, and go from there. Because all of those are you know, $20 to $30 bottles or less, maybe $15 to $30 bottles. Must have been living under a rock. Calumet 16 for $130 is a good price. When it first came out, that's kind of where I was seeing it. Lately, the last few stores I've been in, it's got marked up to like 160 after all the hype. Late to the party, having some Eagle Rare. Nice, Thomas. Good one. Pour it. Knob Creek Single Barrel. Everybody let me know what you're sipping on. Wish my wife liked it. You know, you can't all be into the same thing. Detling Bourbon from Alabama. So Detling Bourbon, probably not a big, it sucks. It sucks because when you're in Alabama and I'm in Alabama, I want to be friends. Like I think we could hang out and we could be friends, right? We could do things together, but I just don't like it. Like I don't want to know. I very much want to like Detling Bourbon and I just can't bring myself to do it. So somebody told me in our Discord, they're like, because I was giving a little bit of hell to the green label Detling, did a review, didn't like it, and they're like, do the cask strength. And so I bought the cask strength when I was at the beach, and I tried it, and so if the green label, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say something that I thought would be funny, but it's kind of, you know, really poking holes at them. I just thought with the cask strength, the bad flavors were more intense. That's all. I just thought it was worse. So, Toasted Barrel Elijah Craig's really good. One of my favorites. Yeah, I love it. It's probably my favorite Elijah Craig. Benchmark Bonded. Nice. Appreciate it, Kyle. Take it easy, man. Redwood Empire. The Redwood Empire Lost Monarch I have is really good. Beginners, that's a good point. So the folks are saying Benchmark. I keep forgetting about Benchmark. So Benchmark for what, $20? You could get a Benchmark bonded top shelf. Those are all Buffalo Trace whiskey. So those are more available, readily available. So I probably, when somebody asks that question, instead of saying Buffalo Trace or Eagle Rare, I probably should be throwing the Benchmark stuff out there just because that is so much more regularly available. Oh, look. Boy 863 is trying to be a smartass in the chat. That's cool. What time am I going to the gym? Well, actually, I have just decided to stop being fat. So I quit being fat today. It's just going to take a while for the body to catch up. So I actually did sign up for the gym. But, you know, you can keep coming in here and trying to be subtle and you know, make smartass comments if you want to. Or you could just fuck off. That would be cool, too. What's up, PSO Roush? What's your favorite cheap bourbon? Again, like the Benchmark stuff's hard to beat, right? Evan Williams Bottle and Bond, stuff like that. Talk about it so you snatched it up. Nice. Will it for a year? Green top. Awesome. Hibiki. I haven't had Hibiki. Someone that's never had a bourbon. Again, just go get a Benchmark. Get a low proof, not Benchmark 8, right? So, you want to start with like an 80 proof, something really easy to get to, or get into. So a good, I still think Buffalo Trace for like that first pour of bourbon. If you really want to know what bourbon's kind of that middle of the road, you know, not too far off the tracks bourbon, I still think Buffalo Trace is going to be the good one. Just normal Buffalo Trace, like regular old Buffalo Trace. It says Buffalo Trace on the label. Favorite cheap bourbon, again, that Benchmark. I've been tearing up that Benchmark Bonded lately, and that's $20. Blanton's Rick #1. Awesome. Maker's 46. And I've got 46. I was going to do a video on that. I don't know if that's my favorite, but it's not bad. Yeah, Lunatic, anytime. Best Weller, in my opinion, if you're leaving out William LaRue, it's going to be Weller Antique 107. I think that's better than the Full Proof to me. Now the Full Proof is they're close. They're close. Used to love Pappy when I could find it under $150. I'll bet. Blanton's now, nice. Middle would be Maker's is fine, but Maker's is, it's not for everybody. So I'm trying to find something. When somebody says they trying to get into bourbon, they're just getting started, and we get a lot of folks like that, right? That's the good thing about shorts, our audience can skew a little younger, and you know the amount of views we get, we just tend to reach a wide array of people. So I just want to make sure we're giving them something that they stand a likelihood of at least enjoying, or it not turning them off from bourbon, so that they just kind of run away from it, right? And makers can do that for some folks. Some folks just don't like it. I've never heard anybody just say, Buffalo Trace, that was horrible. I mean, maybe. Somebody let me know. If somebody just hated Buffalo Trace, let me know. Weller 12 is probably one of my least favorite Wellers, honestly. It wins a lot of awards. A lot of people seek it. A lot of people look for it. I'll take 107 full proof. Heck, honestly, I would probably rather drink Special Reserve most of the time than 12. Make a mean old-fashioned, I've been told go rye. Yeah, rye adds some interesting flavors. So, honestly, this Elijah Craig Rye would probably be really good in an old-fashioned. It adds some interesting flavors. A Michter's Rye adds caramel and rye spice, really good in an old-fashioned. Haven't had Horse Soldier. Rabbit Hole's pretty good. It's kind of, when I first started drinking the Rabbit Hole stuff, they sent me a bottle, I bought a bottle, and I'm like, this is kind of pricey for how good it is. Like, it's expensive. What is it, $80 a bottle or something like that? And I was like, now everything's $80 a bottle. So, you know, I probably need to revisit where I put it, because that's kind of my knock on it, is it's fine, but it's not like super exceptional whiskey at $80. But they're kind of young. They're figuring it out. I think they're going to do good things, though. Rusty's heading out. Take it easy, Rusty. I appreciate it. Full proof, definitely better. The 12 is the most disappointing for the secondary product. That's where I'm at, too, Devin. But I wouldn't say full proof, definitely better. See, so what are you looking for? That really depends on, you know, which one is better. What I want is, you know, complexity of flavor. So I want high proof, but 107 is pretty high proof. 114 proof, I just think the proof overtakes it a little bit, and I just don't get the sweetness I'm looking for in the complexity. It is, I'm not saying it's not complex. I'm just saying I pick up more flavors on the 107 proof than I do the 114, which makes it just slightly better to me. Newbies should go for basic Basil Hayden. Not bad advice. Not bad advice at all. Definitely all benchmark other than the 8. Yeah, I don't think it's 8 year. I think it's just benchmark 8. So don't go benchmark 8 for sure. Where does McKenna 10 rank with you? It's probably like just a middle tier 85B bottle. Pretty good bottle. I try to keep one on the bar most of the time, but I'm not really upset if I don't have one. And it depends on the batch. Like, they can vary a bit from batch to batch. Drinking Old Forester. Nice. Can't find Weller 107 anymore in North Carolina. Go to Ohio. That's all I ordered on secondary. Benchmark Full Proof is good. The Bonded has like an interesting kind of toasty marshmallow flavor to it. So kind of interesting. Hard to find in North Carolina. Finally got a hold of 2 bottles of Eagle Rare for $32. Isaiah, that's a good find right there. First glass with the Monday live stream. Cheers to you, and thanks for joining. Holiday Missouri bourbon? I haven't tried that. Haven't tried Pendleton. Single Barrel 4 Roses. I like Single Barrel 4 Roses. I love Single Barrel barrel strength 4 Roses. Gentleman Jack is fine. I don't think it's much for like an upgrade to Jack Daniels. Old number 7's fine. Gentleman Jack's fine. If you're going to do that, do like a single barrel or a single barrel barrel strength Jack Daniels. I tend to like those a little better. Buffalo Trace is good. Like we've just been talking about it. Really good. Old Forester Whiskey Rose. Everything Old Forester does is really good. So the 1910, 1920s, all of those are really good. The Old Forester Statesman is a nice bourbon as well. Haven't had Wood Hats. You're also in Idaho. Nice. The Duke. Haven't had it. Penelope Architect 3. I don't think I have the 3. I think I have Build 2. I mean, I really enjoyed that. David Nicholson Reserve is really good for an inexpensive bottle. It's been a while. I think I may have that bottle, but it's been a while. The Best Wild Turkey. Well, I mean, if you're just going for the best of the best Wild Turkey. 17-year bottle in bond. If you can get what he just immediately retracted that statement. Hate that you can't ship or get bourbon delivered in Alabama. You should be able to. There's some places that'll ship now. Like they changed the law. Last year you couldn't, but the law changed. So Now, there's a lot of places that haven't updated to be able to deliver, but I think you can ship it in Alabama now. I'll keep an eye out for Monkey Shoulder for sure. I haven't had Jepson's. I have Blood Oath Pack 6 and 7. I have 8 on the way. So 6 and 7 are fine. Again, they're finished whiskeys. Oh, you're talking about Malort. Yeah. I want to do Malort. I've actually been looking for a bottle of Malort to do a review on it. I have not had it yet, and I've had a few chances to try it, but I've been intentionally staying away from it for the video. The lighting's looking good. Appreciate it. We finally, we've still got a little work to do. I don't know if you noticed, but down low, the light's a little different on this side than that side, just because we had to order another extension for the bar lights down there. And then we're far enough back now where you can see the front and everything. So, what's the best wild turkey if money was not an option? I mean, and I haven't had a ton of wild turkeys, but the Master Distiller stuff is freaking phenomenal. So this one right here from a couple of years ago, Wild Turkey Master's Keep 17-year bottle and bond. It's been a while. I've been trying to not drink this to make it last because I was crushing this bottle 2 years ago, but it's maybe been a year or so since I've tried any. So Malort, yeah, I don't expect it to be good. Haven't had Howler Head. But this 100 proof, 100 to 107 proof is kind of the perfect proof for me. Garrison Brothers. I've had Cowboy Bourbon. I really like the Cowboy Bourbon. The Garrison Brothers stuff is all kind of, intense. You got to kind of be into it. This was the toasted sour mash. I haven't had the normal sour mash, but this was actually really good. If you saw the toasted sour mash, buy it. If you saw the regular sour mash, even that I would expect to be pretty good. What's a good $100 bottle of bourbon? That's a weird price point. I would probably try to find a store pick at that. This is the house here. This is T-Crab. This is my basement bar here. So Rare Breed's good. 9-year Elijah Craig store pick. I bet that would be delicious. A standard Antique 107 is equivalent to standard foolproof to my palate. However, I have a foolproof store pick that is awesome. Weller 12 at retail is at retail, but if you say Weller 12 at retail, then you got to say Weller Foolproof at retail or Weller Antique 107 at retail. I just don't like how they proofed it way down, right? If Weller 12 was 107 proof, probably be fantastic, but it's not. Ardbeg 10, okay. Lord, again, that's just cherry candy, right? Nice oak to it. For a 17-year-old whiskey, I expected that to be way too oaky. And you get some oakiness, but it is just cherry and oak. Now, it's giving me a lot more oakiness now that I remember. And it may be because we were drinking things that were not super oaky. But it's not bitter oakiness. It's just kind of interesting. You get a nice, I get that nice kind of wild turkey cherry sweetness. I get just a touch of oak on the finish, or at least in the back of the palate, and then the finish just kind of consumes you with oak. So it's really interesting complexity to this whiskey. The evolution of it is just freaking incredible, from that sweetness through drinking it, and then after you're done drinking it and you think you're finished, it's just here's a bunch of oak flavor just all in your mouth, all up in your mouth hole. Picked up Master's Keep Unforgotten. There's an Unforgotten. I'm not misreading it. Is it Unforgiven? I don't know. Haven't tried that one though. Lagavulin is a little better. 17 years at the right place in the Rick House. Exactly. How sad is your life that your whole identity is alcohol? How sad is your life that you're in here commenting on somebody else's life? An aunt passed and handed down an old bottle of President's Choice. What do you know about it? I know it's probably worth a decent amount of money if it's unopened and delicious. I haven't had an old one, but I've had some President's Choice, and it's really good stuff. What about the robbery helped some, right? Just the national news coverage. So anytime something gets hyped like that and folks know it's worth something, they're going to try to seek it out. So that helped. Pop culture, Anthony Bourdain, a lot of those different things really helped it just kind of explode. But it was already super popular and worth a bunch of money before the heist. Best beginner bourbon. Again, go get you a Benchmark Bonded. Try that, right? Ligma. Am I that big now that I have, like, I'm like the gaming streamers now, right? What's his name? Who's the Australian guy that has Ligma? Gotta love the trolls. I had to dial back the troll because we had a lot of fun with the trolls. You know, after we posted the Weller foolproof in the lawnmower video, got a lot of trolls. And so we just been going right at them. Like, we just been commenting. I finally had to tell the folks that helped me with my accounts, it's like, let's just leave them be. Like, we don't want to attract those folks to the account. We don't want them in the Discord because we just got to kick them out. We don't want them, you know, commenting on the video. So let's just let them be. Let's not keep bringing them back. Let's not troll them. Because I have a lot of fun. Like, they don't hurt my feelings at all. There's nothing you could say to hurt my feelings. I got thick skin and I'm a fully grown man. Like, what can you say? You're going to come in here and say, okay, you're an alcoholic. Well, I know I'm not. You're going to come in here and say, okay, you're fat. Well, yeah, I am. I agree. I know. Like, I could have told you that. You're very observant. I appreciate you letting me know. So there's not a lot of things they can actually say to troll me that would be good. And I want them to. Like, come up with something good. I will laugh with you. I will give you kudos if you could come up with a good troll. But it's got to be something that's not just obvious. You can't come in here and say, you drink a lot and you're heavy. You can't do that. Come up with something original. Let me know, right? Let me know. Lance, it's just TikTok, man. When we have a lot of viewers on TikTok, you get a few of them. They come and go. They don't have a lot going on with their life, so... Best whiskey, that's variable based on your taste. So, Bullet was my first favorite for simplicity, oak, and envy. Nice. Woodford is a good starter bourbon there, Mike. That's a good call. I appreciate that. Crown Black. I don't have any, but that'd be good. Don't feed the trolls. There you go. Sober up. You talking to me? I'm pretty good. Amador. I have it. This is the toasted barrel bourbon and the toasted barrel. I just popped this guy open to try it, and then we had to contrast it to that one. So these are the toasted barrel finish. Is the Michter's Toasted worth it? This one was $110. I would pay that for another bottle. I would. I liked it that much. That's a lot of money. Like, that's not one you just casually go through, but this will be on my bar for 2 years. No faster than because I don't drink as much as TikTok thinks I do. The weed, not near as much as the 10. Okay. I have not had Wyoming. Yeah, Lance. That's just, well, we just get so many, like, there's 475 folks watching over on TikTok right now. So, Blanton's is really good whiskey in a great bottle. It would be to drink with you. Okay. I think you left out an adjective there, but, Rick, I appreciate you hanging out with me. The one Redwood Empire I have, I really like. I have a great selection, but I love some Blanton's. Hey, once you find what you like, just go all in on it. Nothing wrong with that. Haven't tried Breckenridge. Vanilla notes used to drink. Okay, so if you like something with good vanilla, try a Woodford Double Oaked. It's going to be 50 or 60 bucks. It's super oaky, but it's got a really great vanilla flavor to it. I had a rye. It was Whistle Pig. Now they kind of make fun, so it's bottled in barn, farm stock rye. That had a really strong vanilla note to it as well. I have not tried the Midwinter Night's Dram Encore. Haven't been lucky enough to find them. Liver problems, okay. Master Troll is literally your name. You're wrong, but it's cool. See, now the trolls are just coming out in full force. We've invited them. YouTube is a much more chill crowd, that's for sure. Have you done if you could only keep 5 video? I have not, but if I could only keep 5, like if they were hauling this away and I could only keep 5, I mean, I'm going to keep the Pappy 15. I'm going to keep the William LaRue Weller. I'm going to keep the Eagle Rare 17. And so that's was it 3? What did I say? 3. William LaRue, Eagle Rare 17, Pappy 15. So that's 3. Then it gets really difficult. Like, what do you fit into those last 2, right? That's where it gets kind of really, really hard to make the call on the last 2. I really love that Woodford Very Fine Rare. Like, I've been sipping on that. The Rock Hill Farms is so freaking delicious. I've got an Old Fit 17 I haven't even opened that I'm expecting a lot out of. That Old Carter is freaking fantastic. Blanton straight from the barrel is good. Like, those last two are going to be really difficult. So I would probably pull that Old Carter just because how hard it was for me to find, and that Woodford Very Fine Rare, just to mix it up a little bit so they're not all kind of in that same flavor profile, right? Oh, well, I appreciate it there, Cowboy. Thanks for watching the videos. Hopefully we're not a bad influence on you. Yeah, I mean, you do have to die from something. It might as well be something you enjoy. Do you have a good Old Forester single barrel pick that you like? All of them. Like, I don't think I've had a bad one. Right now I have one open. What's the one I have open right now? I want to say it's an Alabama ABC pick, but it might not be. No, this is from Somerville Superstore. Somerville Superstore. Where the heck did I get that? I don't know. I've never been to Somerville Superstore, but I got it somehow or another. It's pretty good. But I just don't drink them a lot, so I don't really go through them. So I've had 5 or 6 Old Forester single barrel picks that I just ended up giving away to folks. Just because I had so many of them, and we don't drink them a lot. Every once in a while I'll go to them. I do enjoy them though. Never tried a Michter's. What should I try? Anything you could find. So they're American whiskey. If you like rye, their rye is really easy to get into. I like just their normal bourbon is probably what I would go with. Double Oak Woodford. Yeah, the Double Oak Woodford it's super oaky, so you're going to get a lot of oak. And I'm not a bitter oak guy, so it's not a ton of bitter oak, but it is a ton of oak flavors. But it's got just a nice balance of vanilla to make it interesting. Ever had a Wild Turkey Honey? Back in the day, I used to drink a lot of Wild Turkey Honey. I thought that was pretty good for a finished whiskey. Pretty good in a Coke. Actually, really good just over ice, for sure. Is Jack Daniel's Bonded worth the price? I think Jack Daniel's Bonded is really good, but I enjoy the Triple Mash better. Not a fan of the Old Forester Statesman. That's interesting. How many questions do I answer in a general live stream? Hundreds, maybe thousands. Probably not thousands. Hundreds for sure. A couple of hundred if we're going to go this long. What time is it? I don't even know how long we've been streaming. We started at 8. We're at 10. We've only gone 2 hours. Only 2 hours. It goes so fast. Penelope is probably the best new brand out. I have a hard time arguing with Penelope as the best new brand. Haven't tried Moondrops. I've had Tin Cup, but it's been a long time, Isaac, and I don't have one. Not on TikTok. Do you think our kids probably? I mean, some of them, but not that many. I don't know, CH. Like, I can't wrap my head around somebody spending that much time just going on somebody else's live stream or content to just post negative things. If somebody does something that I just absolutely don't agree with, you know what I do? I just move along with my day. Like, I just say, oh, that's cool. They did something dumb, and I just move on. So I don't know. I can't imagine putting the effort into posting on somebody else's stuff if I had something negative to say. Good sweet whiskey. A lot of the Buffalo Trace stuff is sweet. So like a Blanton's is going to be sweet. Buffalo Trace itself is going to be sweet. Eagle Rare kind of has an interesting sweetness. So normally when you say sweet, I'm thinking like red fruit sweetness, and that Buffalo Trace lineup is right down the middle of that. I have not made the 115 Old Forester, but I need to for sure. What is MGP? Okay, so MGP is Midwest Grain Products. They're one of the largest contract distillers in the world, definitely in the U.S. And so a lot of folks, when they're just getting started, will buy their whiskey from MGP. So they'll buy it from MGP and they'll put it in their bottle and they'll release it. Not that any of these, well, I mean, this one, I don't know, but most of these are not MGP. That's all it is, right? They just bought it from somewhere. Old Grandad 114 is most definitely a sleeper. I'm trying to figure out which Glencairn I had this orphan barrel in because I want to have it and I don't want to mix it. Atlas, look, we got a TikTok troll. That's awesome. I mean, a YouTube troll. I appreciate it, Isaac. Appreciate it. I I don't know if I'm the best streamer, but we have a good time. We do have a good time. Also drinking Michters. Nice. I'm not negative. I'm trying to help all you drunks, the Master Troll says. He names himself Master Troll, and he's trying to help us drunks. Well, I appreciate it. So if you really wanted to help us, you would hand us another drink, so I wouldn't have to get up. What are my thoughts on Old Elk? The Old Elks I've had are pretty good. I haven't had anything that just makes me say, wow, right? But the ones I've had are pretty good. I like them. Angel's Envy is quite sweet. That's also, finished whiskey can be sweet as well. So Angel's Envy port finished can be sweet as well. 1792 bottle and bond. I like it. I thought the 1792 12-year was my favorite out of the bottles I have open right now. ADHD Whiskey on YouTube just did one where he really, really liked the, I think it was the small batch, right? It was a small batch or single barrel that beat Blanton's in his blind. I have not picked up a Castle and Key yet, no. I have the rye. That's really, I thought it was pretty good, but it is just like overwhelmingly rye flavored, which is a little much for me. But what's the most overrated brand? I haven't found a brand where people just love it, and then I try it and I was like, this is terrible. I haven't had one like that. Like, there's a lot of really highly rated brands, but they're usually highly rated for a reason. The Smoke Wagon stuff, again, MGP source. The stuff I've had is pretty good. Good MGP stuff. I had the Bird Dog video. You could go watch that. I only had tried the chocolate. I didn't try them all. Got Woodford Double Oaked pick at a supermarket last year. It was a banana bomb. Nice. I haven't had one that's like super banana forward, but I bet I can understand how it could be. You don't drink rum or tequila too often, but is there a tequila you really like? I mean, the Casamigo stuff I had was really good. That's probably one of the few tequilas I've actually just kind of drank in a glass. But that's probably not real, like, indicative of tequilas because I haven't tried a ton of them. And when I do, it's in a mixed drink, not just tequila, right? Has the berries and cream, whipped cream profile. The one I have, the benchmark bonded I have, is almost like, it's really like toasted marshmallow. So I see where you're going with that, but yeah, for sure. I have a Old Carter up there on the shelf, and it is freaking fantastic, for sure. Single barrel 1792 is great. It can be, depending on the barrel, for sure. Let's see, we got somebody getting, Thomas Cordova getting moderated there by the YouTube gods. So I allowed it. OGD 114 is a sleeper, but wakes up at 4 a.m. just to make sure he's still alive. That's a good way of putting it. Wild Turkey 101 is one of my favorite, like, $25. It's probably the best bottle of whiskey you can get for $25. Like, walk into any liquor store anywhere and get, not just any of them. This is Wild Turkey Master's Keep Bottle in Bond 17-year-old from about 2 years ago. Maker's Mark 101, Evan Williams Bottle and Bond. Like, those are just good, cheap whiskeys. Like, you can enjoy this hobby without spending a fortune on really expensive bottles. And you're going to come on live streams like this, and you're going to watch the content creators. And that's why I try to make sure we talk about cheaper bottles, because it's easy to fall into the trap of you need, you know, this is, I think MSRP on this was like $150-ish. And then they quickly went up to $250 in the secondary, and this guy's probably a couple $100, probably $250. Like, it's easy to like blow a house payment thinking you have to have those levels of whiskey to enjoy this hobby, but you don't. Now, you're gonna want them. If you enjoy content, you come on here because we're gonna be drinking them, and all the content creators are gonna be drinking them, but don't think you have to do that just to have a good time and hang out. Yellowstone's a great $25 bottle. Nice. Hard to argue with that. I haven't had a ton of Yellowstone, but the stuff I've had has been really good. I need to buy more Yellowstone. I need to buy some TX. It's on the list. The problem is I just keep running out of money. Every time I go shopping, I was like, I got 75 bottles people have recommended that I want to try. I got budget for 3. I just need to get the 3. And so it's hard to get to the bottom of the list that way. CH, I appreciate you hanging out. I got to get up early, too. My son bought a Nissan 280Z, 1983 T-Top Z. And so I got to drive 2 hours to his house in the morning, and then we got to go 3 hours to pick up this car. I don't have any Parker's Heritage. The only one I've ever tried is the Curacao finish. Didn't love that, but I would really love to try a bunch of that. Well, thank you, AA Ron. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for hanging out. Haven't heard of Monk's Road or Cleveland whiskey. Oxymoron, no. The Creekman, Kentucky 13-year I had was pretty good. It's been a while since I've tried it. I need to crack it open. I haven't had the smoked maple. Like, I'm scared of the Knob Creek smoked maple. Is that a thing I should try? Like, just doesn't sound like something I'm going to like. Like, it sounds like they just, like, put some syrup in a whiskey. And I'm scared of it. I don't know. Waddy Boone and Sons. I need to turn my phone off here. What are we doing? Oh, that's my son. He must be on the live stream. He's like, see you at 6:45. I like Penelope a lot, for sure. Absolutely. I have not had Double Eagle very rare. And see, Isaac, this is one of those. This is one of those, like, crazy things. So, a Double Eagle, for those that don't know, it's 20-year-old Eagle Rare. And it is, but it's in like a really cool hand-blown decanter with an eagle on top and a hand-blown glass eagle inside the bottle. Now, this is an expensive whiskey, but like on the secondary market, those things are listed for $20,000 or $30,000, like nuts. I don't know if they're actually selling for that, but that's what people ask for them. And if I ever got one, it would be very difficult because, like, do you just like sell it? Because I don't sell whiskey. I've never sold a bottle of whiskey. I've never just sold a bottle of whiskey. I'd rather just give it away than sell it. And so I would have a hard time opening that bottle, but it just breaks all of my rules of where if I have a bottle, I have to open it. Like, there are no sacred bottles, but that's one of those that's so expensive. Like, what could all the crazy things I could do with that money, I would just have a hard time with that bottle. That would be an interesting conflict, and I would have a lot of inner turmoil to determine what to do with that stupid bottle of whiskey if I ever got one. How was the Heaven Hill Green Label? It's not my favorite. Not my favorite. It's fine. Rob D with the turkey. Screwball. How's that? This is not muckety. This is Orphan Barrel Fable and Folly. And it is freaking fantastic. You'd have to have a license to sell. I mean, if you wanted to do it legally, social, you would have to have a license to sell. But there's a lot of people selling whiskey, you know, buying and selling, like buying them at MSRP and flipping them and not having a license. But that's, like, I just try to, my ultimate goal is to not end up in jail, realistically, right? So that's just kind of an ambition of mine, you know, long-term goal to not end up in jail. And I'd be the dumbass they made an example out of. Like, I'd be the guy that sold like one bottle and they would just like throw the book at me. So I just don't do it. Plus, I buy them to enjoy them. Like, I don't really want to get rid of them. If somebody really, really wants one, I'm just, okay, take it. You know, that's just kind of a thing. Old Forester 86 was my getaway bourbon. Nice. Ancient Age is, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like Ancient Age. Ancient Age is pretty good, but for that price though, it's fine. What is it? It's like $12 here for Ancient Age. I would rather spend $8 more for like a benchmark bonded or something, for sure. But if you can't get it, understand. What's up, Rob D? Bourbon Crow in the house. What's going on, man? 300 ZX Twin Turbo with T-tops. This one, like the 300 is a little different. This one's a 280, 83 model, but still a beautiful, beautiful car. He's buying a great example. Comes with like the jacket that they came with. So it comes with like the driving jacket. Like, it's in really good shape. Slate blue, beautiful, beautiful car. Always a little too small for me. I mean, I'm a full-size guy. I need full-size cars. Why always open bottles? Because of your philosophy. Shred, what, you only live once. Do you really want to die wondering what a bottle tasted like? Like, the bottles look just as good empty as they do full. You might as well just drink them. That's my opinion. No shade on somebody that wants to save one, especially if you got a special occasion you're saving for, or you want to do something fun with it, fine. If you want to flip it, I'm not judging. I really don't care what you do with it. That's cool. Sometimes that's how I get bottles that I'm looking for. But how do I get my hands on all of them? It's luck. It's building friends, so relationships. It is waiting in line when I really, really want something new to try, and getting lucky in the lotteries. That's pretty much how you do it. Dapper Dan man. I don't want no fops. I'm a Dapper Dan man. Ain't this place a geographical anomaly? 2 weeks from everywhere. If y'all don't know, if y'all haven't seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, I'm not sure we could be friends. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure. You need to go watch that. Me and a guy from work, dude, we used to sit there. People get so frustrated because we would break out like 6 or 7 one-liners from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou a day when he was in town. Luckily, he wasn't in town every day. But when he came in, we pretty much spoke exclusively in one-liners from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. I like 1792. It's pretty good stuff. I haven't found any of it exceptional, but, you know, I've been seeing a lot of good reviews from other YouTubers, so I probably need to revisit it a little bit. The Blood Oath series, again, finished bourbons, not my jam. The ones I've had are pretty good. I'm trying more and more finished whiskey. I'm starting to find like finishes I like and I don't like, so I'm going to revisit them. I do have a Blood Oath 8, so I'm waiting on that 8 to arrive before I go through my 6, 7, 8 and kind of, you know, explore them a little more. Of making a barrel and how big you can legally buy, also where do you buy? Of buying a barrel. Like if you're buying like a full barrel, like I don't understand exactly your question. Are you trying to buy a barrel already full of whiskey, or are you trying to make your own and barrel it? What's in the cup? This right here is, Lord have mercy, what did I pour in this cup? I think I went back to this orphan barrel, didn't I? I don't even freaking know. I'm just talking and drinking at this point. I wasn't a fan of the Balmoria. Had a sample, didn't love it. You need to watch it if you haven't seen it. It is full of one-liners and it is freaking hilarious. Thought you was a toad. They loved him up and turned him into a horny toad. Oh, God, so much. Haven't cracked it. Michter sour. What did you think? You talking about the toasted barrel sour? I thought it was really good. I preferred the bourbon, though, but I thought this had some really interesting. I get a lot of like cinnamon flavors on it, but it was really, really interesting. Snagged so many bottles from Pure Dumb Luck. That happens. Just go into stores. Like I went to the beach. I just walked into stores. I grabbed a Blanton's and a couple of other cool things, like stuff like that. It literally is just walking. Now that's time investment, right? You got to go into a bunch of stores. If you're going to get lucky, you got to increase your odds. But it doesn't hurt to ask. Started saying I'm a man of constant sorrow. That's funny. Is that the 14? Yes, this is the 14 year. And again, the likes gave me this while I was at the Bourbon Junkies meetup. It just handed it to me, said, hey, you want this? I was like, yeah. And I didn't know how much I would want it, but it's freaking delicious. Oh, wow, for the nightcap. Nice. Why is Blanton so hard to find? Now, Buffalo Trace just committed. So, like, it was in the news this week or last week. Buffalo Trace just committed $1.2 billion, billion with a B, $billion to double their production capacity. So, the problem you have is when they make a whiskey like Pappy's or Blanton's or whatever, well, that stuff comes from, a lot of that stuff comes from a particular rick house, right? It's going to come from, you know, Warehouse H or Warehouse C or something like that, depending on, you know, which brand you're looking for. Well, that'll only store so much whiskey. And if they always pull it from that rick house, because that's the flavors they get from a metal-clad rick house that they cannot make anymore, well, they're going to have a hard time increasing the production of that whiskey. But realistically, also, they still can only make so much whiskey. And they got that sucker running all the time right now. So to make more, they need to make another still. But that still needs to put out whiskey that is identical to what the old still put out. So it's not an easy thing. You can't just go buy a new still, set it up, and say, okay, now we're making more whiskey. No. They built an identical building next to their rick house, or at least they are. I don't know if it's finished yet, but they took their still building and they built an identical one right next to it. And then they're building a replica of their main still so that they can make more whiskey, so that they can make twice as much whiskey as what they've been making, and have it be identical. Now, I don't know how it's going to be identical when they didn't expand the rick house, but I'm assuming, you know, maybe they start pulling them from different rick houses and different things, you know, instead of them all coming from, you know, whatever warehouse a particular brand comes from. But it just takes time for them to, like, even now, if they started putting that whiskey out right now, Well, if it's a 10-year-old product, it's going to be 10 years. If it's Blanton's, what is that, 4 years old or so maybe? 6 years old? I don't even know how old a Blanton's is. That stuff is going to take years to get out. So it's just supply and demand. They've made a ton of it, and I'm sure they've made even more of it over the last 4 or 5 years, but it just takes a while for that to come into the market. So really what it boils down to. I haven't had Blanton's Red, but I love some Blanton's Gold there, Wilson. Because it is owned by Takara, but distilled here in the U.S. I think Blanton's is owned by Buffalo Trace, right? You correct me, I don't know. Elijah Craig's good stuff, nothing wrong with that. I haven't had Hennessy Whites. Mash 2 is gross. Flip Squad says Blanton's and everything Mash 2 is gross. So you don't like Blanton's, you don't like E.H. Taylor, you don't like Rock Hill Farms. Like, you were shitting on some of my favorite whiskeys right there. And I respect your opinion. Like, that's, it's at least a respectable way of putting it. But me and you have very different palates. That's all it really boils down to. What that boils down to, what this means, Flip Squad, is I appreciate you being here. I love you supporting the stream and hanging out and talking whiskey with us. But do not, under any circumstances, under zero circumstances, do you take one of my whiskey recommendations. Don't take any of them, because if you don't like those, me and you have very different palates. Appreciate it there, Drewski. Sub count has gotten everyone doing shorts now. Scott, probably. I think a lot of and I'm trying to create a Discord. ADHD. I don't know if Matt's still in here. We've got a Brewzle Discord. I'm trying to start a channel where we're going to invite some bourbon creators. So if you are creating, if you've been creating, let's put a limit on it to where you've actually got a few subs. Say you got 1,000+ subs. If you're interested in talking about content creation, discussing stats, helping each other grow, giving each other feedback, hit me up. We'll add you into like a private Discord channel that I've created. And that, if you're over on TikTok, but really, I can't post the link over on TikTok. So we're trying to, I'm an open book. Like, I'll share my stats. I'll share anything you want to see about what we've done and what works. I understand pretty well on long form videos as well what will work. You'll see as we start to grow our long form content. Hopefully that'll come to fruition as well. I don't think we'll have the same success on long form that we have on shorts. Like, YouTube's just pushing the heck out of those. But I think we'll have, my hope, my expectation is to have as much or more success on long form videos than most of the bourbon creators out there. So, if you want to come along for that ride and help, because I'm always looking for ideas and second thoughts and understandings about what works and what doesn't, right? But yeah, if you're not creating shorts on YouTube, you are just wasting an opportunity at this point. Create shorts, grow an audience, try to transition them to live streams in your long form stuff. Like, it's just too easy. Michter's is good stuff. Pappy's 25 is the best you've had to date. I like the 15 better than the 25. I think the 25 gets a little too oaky, but it's really good. Not a huge fan of the Kentucky Owl Confiscate. I thought it was good, not for the price. Extremely disappointed in Jefferson's Ocean. Really depends on the voyage, man. I hated 17. Salt, just nastiness. 22, really, really good. So, how can you find Blanton's Gold? Mine came from Europe, man. I told a friend in the Netherlands, I was like, I'm looking for this. He's like, here's a couple of bottles. I don't know. What do I bench? I don't. I bet I could lift a lot, though. Fat people are ridiculously strong. The 1792 behind me is pretty good. Nice. What's the best from Kentucky? I mean, most of the best are from Kentucky. Not all of the best. I'm not one of those guys that's like, it has to be from Kentucky to be good, but Lord have mercy, most of the best are from Kentucky. Hands down, #1 whiskey, William LaRue Weller. Haven't had Old Crow. Single Rickhouse. I have not got my hands on one yet. Rabbit Hole's fine. They're still kind of, they're still new. It's kind of expensive for what it is. Well, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. We found a groove with the shorts, right? Like, really figured out how to get people to watch them and, trying to have fun with it. Like, that's really what it boils down to here. We're trying to show that in an industry in whiskey, there's a lot of folks, and I found a lot of folks that are not this way. But there are a ton of this kind of, we've been around forever, we're the old guard. Whiskey is very serious. Like, you should not be making fun of this. You should not be taking this lightly. Like, this is almost a religious cult of some sorts. And it's not how it's supposed to be. Like, this is supposed to be fun. Like, we're drinking, we're having a good time. Like, this is supposed to be entertaining and light and fun and, you know, just enjoyable. And so, and there's some other folks that do it. I'm not saying we're the first ones to do that, but that's most definitely our kind of take on it, right? Can we keep it lighthearted? Let's, you know, I'm a bourbon guy. I love bourbon, but heck, give me a Crown Vanilla. Let's see what that tastes like. Like, I'm not too snooty to drink that. So go to vanilla whiskey. Yellow Rose. I actually have a Yellow Rose. I thought it was pretty good. It's not like, for Texas whiskey is like super bold, and I feel like those are a little more tame. So you might be able to get into Texas whiskey a little more with a Yellow Rose, but I didn't find it as interesting because it's not as super intense. Have not heard of Black Button Distilling, no. Yeah, probably, Austin, when the monetization takes effect, you know, YouTube, but TikTok will try to combat that somehow. They're trying to figure out ads and things, so we'll see. The problem with the monetization is, for shorts, is it's not going to be a lot of money. Like, we did 8 million views in the last month on YouTube. That's probably going to be like $800 or something. Like, it's not, like, you're going to have to do 50 million views to make a living. Or more, maybe 100 million views to make a living. So the monetization is going to help, but I don't know how much. Like, I'm not expecting it to be a windfall. Well, I appreciate it, Bourbon Crow. You know, I thought we would get, I thought we would be able to grow the channel, but what it's been able to do was well beyond my expectations when we started, really 2 months ago in a week. Like, it just, I wasn't expecting. We're going to cross 50,000 subs on YouTube this week by Thursday. And heck, we're about 160 over here on TikTok, which is awesome. Angels Envy Rye, nice. I need to try it. I haven't tried Jesse James. High West is pretty good stuff. Russell's Reserve 10 versus 12. You know, Russell's Reserve tends to be fairly oaky, so I'm assuming you're saying 10 versus 13. I don't know if I've had the 12. I thought the 13 was nice because it was higher proof and has an interesting sweetness to combat the oakiness. Weller's my favorites. But everybody has kind of a shortages right now. I think they're dealing with it pretty well. Mass moves mass. You can bench a lot. Exactly, Bill. That's right. I had Noah's Mill, which is a Willet product. I think it's an easy pass. Like, I didn't like it enough to buy another one. I appreciate it, Isaac. We released like this, the video we released this today, actually, I think. The one where we go buy the link, and that's the first one where we're like, okay, like, all of our long form content has just been, we were going to produce a short, but we had a really interesting, I just did the review and we had a really interesting longer cut of it, right? But it wasn't like designed to be long form content. That takes a lot more time. Like, we know shorts, I could do shorts and I could do, you know, in 5 minutes I could put a short out, or at least record it and then be edited. But a long form video takes a lot more effort and research and thought and trying to put that together. So whereas it takes 5 minutes to, you know, it probably takes me 30 minutes total in thought on what we're going to do and then shooting a short. I probably put 3 or 4 or 5 hours into a long form video, and that's just tougher to do, right? Cheech over on YouTube. If you're not following Cheech, please do that. Make sure y'all are subscribed to Cheech. He has a great live stream, late night after party. I think he'll be going live tomorrow. He usually goes live on Tuesday after the Bourbon Junkies. He's going to hit 2K. Can we get him to 2K? How short of 2K are you? We got 40 folks over here on YouTube. Somebody, y'all subscribe to Cheech for me if you would. I would appreciate it. One of us. All right. Good evening, Anthony. What's going on? It's not their whiskey. Why do they care? I have no idea. Like, folks get excited about stuff. I do like Jack Daniels, mostly the limited release stuff. Like their normal Old Number 7 is great in Coke, but all their limited release stuff, all the stuff other than Old Number 7 is actually really, really good. My favorite whiskey cocktail is an Old Fashioned. What has been my favorite Michters that you're not been able to get your hands? Ooh, look, what in the world is that? It's a TikTok candle just showed up over there. I really like, I want the 10-year rye. That's the one I feel like I need to try. User, have I been live for that long? 2.5 hours. We've been live for 2.5 hours. I'm going to go about 30 more minutes, I think, maybe, unless the energy goes down. And then I am going to, I got to get up early in the morning and go get a car. So, for my son, WB Saffel. I thought, I look good in that hat, man. I'm going to be honest, TikTok. WB Saffel is pretty good. I liked it. Bardstown, pretty good exotic flavor. Nice. Love the fun stuff in reviews. It's supposed to be fun, Lance. I've not tried anything from Rough Rider. Let me buy a Joseph Magnus cigar blend sample from you. Are you in the Discord, Devin? I don't sell whiskey, but, I don't know where you're located. Hang out, be cool, support me a little bit. You don't have to buy one. I send you one, right? Just show you're not an asshole. Hang out, help people out, join the Discord, be active in some conversations. Let me see you're a real person. I'll send you one. I think I still have an Eric Church back there. I have it open. Eric Church Jack Daniels it's really just Jack Daniels single barrel with a markup in a slightly cooler bottle, right? So if you really want to try what it tastes like, just buy a Jack Daniels single barrel strength. Mr. Salty, take it easy. It does come really early. I got to get up. I think I got to leave here at 4:30 in the morning to get to where we're going to pick up this 280Z. It says it's expired. Cheech is dropping an expired link. Let me see if I can get an updated link. I don't know why we are just now learning Discord, so we are still trying to figure that out. This link is let's see, what am I doing here? I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so I want to invite people. Edit invite link. No limit. Expire after never. Generate new link. I'm going to copy that sucker right there. I'm going to go to the live stream. So, Cheech, update this. This should be a non-expiring link that I just dropped over on YouTube right there. So, join that Discord. Hey, the Sinatra was pretty good. We got a ton of views on that. Like, that did a lot better than I expected, that video. It was funny. Like, the hook was pretty funny. But I like Sinatra. Four Roses Super Premium in Japan is $50. I haven't had Four Roses Super Premium. What's a good bottle? There's all sorts of good bottles, man. Wild Turkey 101, good bottle. Go get that one. Old Forester 100 proof. Try that one. Some of the best bourbon coming out these days is from Michigan. Iron Fish. I haven't heard of any of those, much less tried them. J. Cal, literally, what's good in Michigan? Those are interesting. Never seen those. Late night, Darren. Appreciate it. Devin, in there. Hang out. Have a good... keep it... Gamtang Gamtang's my son. We're going to go look at that car here in the morning. So I may have to call it here in just a second. Learn with bourbon, just because it's expensive or allocated or hard to find doesn't mean it's always good. That is 100% true. There is hype for sure. Haven't had anything from Hawaii. That would be fun. New to the bourbon scene, got Eagle Rare Blanton's. I missed the question. Sorry about that. Woodford Reserve is good. If you try Woodford Reserve, you might like that. Like, that's kind of a different jam if you're coming from Buffalo Trace stuff. Like the Bradshaw. Nice. Yeah, the Wild Turkey Rare Breed's really way better than 101. I agree with that statement, but if you're just getting into whiskey, the 101 proof can be a little too much. So I try not to recommend that if somebody's like, what's a beginner? What's a good bottle? What am I getting started with? I assume with that question, when it's not like prefaced with, I like this or whatever, that they're kind of just getting into bourbon. So I try not to recommend the 100 or, the 100, was it 14 proof? Sorry, on the Rare Breed for sure. Yeah, original Big Hoss dropping the Discord. Is that my Discord, or are you just hijacking it? I don't know. You may just be hijacking it. All in on the Russell Reserve picks. Nice, nothing wrong with that. I'm in Opelika, Alabama. Bib and Tucker. I haven't had Bib and Tucker. I need to try that. All right, guys. I do need to get up in the morning and get rolling. We still have 480 something folks over on TikTok. Like, how do you leave a stream with 480 something folks on it? I don't know, 45 folks hanging out over on YouTube? Lord have mercy, I should not have agreed to go somewhere in the morning. What was I thinking? I didn't know there'd be so many of y'all hanging out. The only Willett family estate I've had is the 4-year rye, and that was pretty good. And I hear some of their stuff is fantastic, but it's so expensive. E.H. Taylor Small Batch is great. Yes, love it. Whizzle Pig's rye stuff, I think they're just coming out with a bourbon, but it's pretty good. I have not watched the Jeffrey Dahmer show, but I'm going to. What years are those B-Tacs? I don't know. I think the George T. Stagg is 2018. The William LaRue Weller is 2020. I'm not sure on the Eagle Rare 17. I want to say it may have been 21, but I'm not sure. Well, thank you. Cars on production. Hey, cars are my kind of thing. So, Penelope Architect is amazing. I agree. Cars, only 20. Sorry about that. Yeah, my P.O. box is in the bio if you want to ship me some Parker's Heritage. It's yours, okay. Stag Junior, 14. I think 14 is the batch I have open, and it's freaking delicious. So I'm going to call it a night. I appreciate everybody hanging out. If you're not subscribed, hit the like button for me before you get out of here. Make sure you follow me on TikTok. Make sure you're subscribed over here on YouTube. I am going to be live again on Wednesday, so we're going to go live on Wednesday. I think I've been doing 7 o'clock on TikTok, 8 o'clock on YouTube, but if y'all are cool with this, like this seems to work. YouTube was dragging a little bit, and I had TikTok to kind of pick up the slack. So as long as nobody hates on this, I'll probably go live with both at 8 o'clock instead of doing 7 and 8. That gives me a little more time to prepare and try to get this one right. So I appreciate everybody hanging out, and I will see y'all on Wednesday. Take it easy. So TikTok gets to hang out and watch me in the stream over here on YouTube. I got to wait till it gets pushed up, and then I get to come over here.